now. All right, and welcome everybody to Digital Fiasco Live for another lovely Monday night. My name's Dandr0id.
And I'm Jack McBastard. It is Monday.
It is very much a Monday right now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it.
Does it feel like a Monday?
No, well, I mean, that's the weird part for me, just working overnights right now.
Yeah.
Like, days are all kind of fucked up, and they kind of lose their meaning. So it's like, I was working last night, I'm like, oh my god, it's already Tuesday tomorrow, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's Sunday today, right? No, wait, it's Monday, no. It's Monday because it's 2 in the morning. It is 2 in the morning on Monday. And I'm like just sitting here like losing my fucking mind on my lunch break.
I probably already told you this story, but a few weeks back I had this dream, and I woke up from the dream. It was kind of like a dream within a dream sort of thing.
Okay, yeah.
And I woke up and it's like, oh, well. And I was like, I'm glad it's at least Wednesday, and it's like Monday.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not even dreaming that it's Friday. I have like really low expectations in my dreams.
Lowered that bar.
And even that was not met. So it was like, wow, that was just
we did it, Tron.
Realization.
Sound and video on time.
It's almost like we do this like every goddamn week.
Yeah, I know. Go figure, right?
Well, what can you do? So, are you playing anything?
Yeah, actually I am.
What do you got?
The wife was bored the other night, and I was just like, you should play one of your games that I bought for you. And she's like, oh, I don't feel like playing anything. I just want to watch something right now. I'm like, all right,
I'm kind of in one of those slumps myself.
Just like that kind of situation. So I was like, I went through the catalog that I had, and one of the ones we actually got for free for PS Plus, I think it was a couple months ago, and that I had never played before, was Beyond Two Souls, the Ellen Page simulator.
Right. So I mean, you played Heavy Rain, right?
Yes, yeah, played the shit out of Heavy
that?
Rain, owned that, finished I think I got like 4 of the endings of it or something like that. So
cool.
But so I just never gotten around to playing that one. What?
Nope.
Oh, are you fixing something?
I'm just.
You're just.
I gotta get up.
Just get up. You can't reach your arm 5 feet around the corner.
I can reach it from here.
From there, around the wall.
That's possible.
It's not how your arm bends.
Not with that attitude.
Oh, I don't know.
There it is. God damn it.
Gotta tape all those remotes together.
I was thinking one time I could make it without getting up.
I'm gonna buy you an idiot string. You're gonna hang remotes from your arms.
I swear to God, there's got to be a pool at this point. Like, how many times can Jack go an episode without actually getting up, like to fix something?
I'm just gonna have to glue you to your seat.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, anyways, this is one that just kind of evaded me for a while because I really, really enjoyed Heavy Rain.
Sure.
And I was excited when Two Souls had come out, or Beyond Two Souls had come out, but I just never gotten around to playing it. So sure enough, it'd come up on what's the nicely remastered like PS4 version.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful.
So yeah, I dove in and started playing it, and it was one of those games where I think I played it for almost like 4.5 hours straight or something like that, and there's kind of, like if you remember the story at all, there's kind of a bit of a crescendo kind of moment in there, and I'm like, oh, this was a really short game, and all of a sudden it goes to another memory, and another memory. I was like, oh, okay, well, we're still going with this, aren't we?
No, it definitely jumps around a lot, and the structure is weird.
Well, and that was one of the funny parts too, I guess, with the remaster. I don't know if they had this in the original game or not, but
they didn't.
They had the remix where you literally play it chronologically,
which could be interesting.
Which, from what I've seen so far, it could be very interesting, especially because of how things kind of start falling into place a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I'm at the desert farm part in near the middle of the game right now, I'm like, oh man, what is gonna happen next now? Because holy fuck, like shit's getting weird.
If you thought it got weird up until then, let me tell you, you were in the eye of the fucking storm in many ways.
Almost literally.
Yes. Actually, literally.
But yeah, overall, you can see what they changed and how they kind of made some quality of life improvements in that game compared to Heavy Rain.
Right. No press X to Jason.
Yeah. None of that. Yeah. But yeah, overall, just the control feels a little more natural. It's still a little tanky in some spots and everything, but that's because they want the motion to look natural with what you're interacting with, so they don't want you just like spinning in circles and bumping into stuff and all that kind of stuff. But
from just to let you know, from there to Detroit, it's actually another quantum leap forward. Like, it feels way more natural.
I would think so, just because they not only had that many more years to create their game, but we've just come that much farther in video games themselves.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm expecting it to be probably leaps and bounds compared to this one.
You'll enjoy it.
But overall, I have to say I'm really enjoying it. Like, after it got some bad press and some bad reviews and stuff like that, I was like, I don't know. I don't see what people are complaining about so far, unless it takes a real nosedive towards the end of the game or something like that.
Not really. I mean, you've got what's his name, Kadeem Hardison in it. You've got what's his face, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah,
you got that guy.
Willem Dafoe is fucking on point.
Yes.
Like, his model is eerily like realistic.
There's a guy who I know who he is to look at him, but he's just like one of those actors that has no name, and he's
He's just a character actor,
handler guy.
Yeah,
and of course Ellen Page. And it's some really good supporting cast, and it's the plot is a lot more supernatural than maybe people were expecting after Heavy Rain.
Yeah.
But I mean, when David Cage has done like Omicron, The Nomad Soul, and Indigo Prophecy was just insanity.
I was gonna say with that one especially, it's like you should almost expect it at that point that he would kind of go a weird way with it rather than trying to make it realistic.
Just to spite me, Travis played that one and said he loved it.
Does he like aliens?
I have no idea. But it was like right at the end, it like goes way off the rails. But yeah, Beyond Two Souls, I think is it. I didn't like it as much as Heavy Rain, but I think it's solid throughout. If you can get this far and not be ghosts, then you're good.
I don't know, because Heavy Rain was still very solid. Like, I liked the story. I liked that it was like a crime noir kind of thing.
Right.
Like, that worked. That really, really worked for that. But this one's interesting, not so much for the story, but I like some of the mechanics of it.
Sure.
It's really cool to actually be able to like be a ghost in there, and not only to be able to fuck with stuff, but because you have a lot of agency in what you do or what you don't do, it can affect the storyline a lot too. Because
it's interesting how
they'll
they
give you a lot
that.
of those sequences where it's like you can either go in and you can do exactly what you're told, you can kind of screw around, or you can completely fuck around, and you get different variations of the story from there, and I really like that.
Have you been to the point where Ellen Page's character is trying to make dinner?
No, but that sounds like it's going to be fun.
Let's just say that you can either make it very easy or extraordinarily hard. Like, ridiculously hard.
Is that in the farmhouse, or is that after that?
I don't recall specifically the order, because everything's so out of order. It's... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking it's going to happen later in the game, but it might be earlier than that.
Yeah.
So in any case... But yeah, good that you're enjoying that.
Yeah, and especially for, again, the free game with PS Plus, so it's like, it was fucking spectacular. But I love it.
Cool.
So, how about you?
I was still doing some RimWorld. I was playing RimWorld, and that one highly entertained me. I actually turned on Mad Wild Bull to that, and he's been enjoying that. So,
did you guys get to stream together, or did you just play a couple rounds together?
Well, it's single player only. So that one, I just mentioned it to him. And he enjoyed that. And then I was actually playing State of Decay 2 with him online.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yes.
Because I remember you said you were going to play something with him. I just didn't remember. I thought it was RimWorld.
No. So, State of Decay 2 had a good time with that. And actually, it plays really well in multiplayer. It helps to have two people there, even if it is just to criticize my driving. And let me tell you, there was a moment where in the game I was backing up, and I swear to God, like, I don't know what kind of weird quirk of physics or just happened to hit something the right way, but wow, like a bug hit at exactly the right time, and I was fucking airborne.
Sounds like PUBG.
Like flipping end over end. It was like a cunning stunt bonus. I landed squarely on the roof.
Yeah, like, have you seen that? Like, some of the glitches in PUBG, they have little glitches in the map floor, I guess, or whatever. People are just driving across like a flat terrain with some grass, and all of a sudden they go boom, and it's like they just slammed into a wall, or it'll be like they just went off like a flipper ramp and they go flying into the air, and they just go like halfway across the map. It's like, whoa, okay, I didn't realize there was a black hole in the middle of this field.
That's what it felt like. But we have it on. We captured it on the stream, so we definitely can have a look at that and try to deconstruct what the fuck I did. Because Jesus Christ, yeah,
the crash physics of it.
the driving is fine in it. The driving is just the same as the first game, and largely the game itself is pretty much the same as the first game.
Right.
But they've tweaked some of the mechanics. They made it a little bit better. I think it's definitely interesting having two people having two separate resource pools to draw from.
Well, that and just having a partner instead of an AI partner,
Right.
like a person of of normal human intelligence rather
Yes.
than just an AI that's set
Yeah.
to do specific things at certain times.
Or you could just coordinate with. Christ, that was loud.
Why is your phone turned
I
up so
do
loud?
not know. But anyway, so
Let's shut that off for the show.
Yes. Well, I should have done a lot of things before the show, like get my phone in the first place. But anyway, so what's interesting though, and which screws with me for my OCD at first, is I don't really have OCD, but it bothers me. So I guess maybe a little
bit.
just enough. I'm on the spectrum anyway. So when you search a house, it's not just. It's not Borderlands rules where everyone can get the chest. They just
Okay.
all have to get it individually.
Yeah.
And it's not like every man for himself rules where the first guy to the chest gets the shit and fuck everyone else.
Okay.
Inside a house, there are searchable areas, and there are a certain number of searchable areas. And each person has their own that are color-coded to their player.
Okay.
So there's like 4 for me, and then there's 4 for him. And if we don't get all of them, or if I don't go to all the same houses that he does,
Yep.
I might think it's cleared, but it's not.
Oh,
so right away
okay.
I'm like, that's gonna fucking bother me. But then I found out you look on the map, and actually when you've cleared a house out, when you have cleared the house out,
Yeah.
it actually changes from a solid color to like an outline. So
Oh,
it
okay.
indicates
So it looks like it's hollow, basically.
Right.
It's empty.
So you have a good, simple visual representation of every place you've been and have completely wiped out.
Okay.
So that's good. Except that if you search an area and don't take everything from it, you leave some because you don't have enough room, then it still shows hollow, and you're back to OCD craziness. So that was something I had a problem with in the first game. But yeah, but still, a lot of fun. The multiplayer adds a lot to it, and the ability to coordinate your efforts and watch each other's backs as you're trying to do something. Like, it really adds a lot to the game.
No more sad Karen.
No. Well, I mean, she died in the first game through no fault of my own.
No, you shouldn't have a sad Karen situation again,
No.
basically.
Well, no, not this time. All right. So, hello, everyone in the chat, by the way, being awfully quiet tonight. This is Digital Fiasco, episode 32.
Everyone's tired today.
No, I think so. It's Monday. I mean, we do this on Mondays every week, but this week it feels like a Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about all the latest news in PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and PC gaming. And, of course, as tradition, quack. Such a majestic creature. God bless you, Damon Blade, being there
Just
when I need
sitting
you.
in the back, quack.
Thwarting my plans! Anyway, so let's talk about the Triple D, as is traditional.
All right, this week in Triple D. Why?
Discs,
Don't
downloads,
turn-
and DLC for the new
Yes,
people.
if my phone would fucking turn on. There we go.
Mine's too loud, yours off.
Yep.
God.
I swiped the screen and it didn't do shit.
Through no
Anyways,
fault of
in-
my own revisionist history. Come on.
This downloads and DLC for this week. Of course, one of the big ones that they've been running since last E3, and it's finally coming out this week. That would be The Crew 2, which is a game that you don't give a shit about because it's a racing game. I'm actually quite interested in this one just because this is one that kind of came out of nowhere because The Crew didn't hit it that big with
Right.
sales and whatnot. And then all of a sudden last year we
pesky
got The
sales.
Crew 2. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting because they didn't just make the same game, so it would have been a big mistake because the first one didn't do that well. The second game reminds me more of Pilot Wings because it's about doing all of these like automotive and aeronautical and like just nautical like type of racing and stuff because you have boats, you have planes, you have motorbikes, you have cars, you have
boats
trucks.
in The Crew?
Yes, there's a picture of it right here. There's a boat, a plane, the Statue of Liberty. I don't know if you can drive that.
I don't think it's Ghostbusters 2.
But yeah, they have that full range of you have land, sea, and air, and I thought that was really cool because it makes it less about just car and truck racing and more about just expanding out and enjoying every format of racing that they have.
Sure.
So if you like that kind of that Red Bull kind of like swooping like airplane racing stuff where you have to like go around the targets and through loops and everything like that, you can just play that if you want to. Or if you like boat racing, I don't know anyone that likes specifically boat racing, but I guess fans are out there. But it's just nice that they have all those options in there, and they even have like motorbikes and dirt bikes and stuff like that. So it almost sounds like they took a page out of like it's almost like what's that, Forza Horizon, where they just give you this giant playground map and you can just go and explore it whatever way you want to. So you want to just grab a Baja truck and drive around in the backwoods and stuff, you can do that. You can race a Porsche or a Camaro through downtown and jump into an airplane. Like, it's really cool how they did it.
All you're doing is making me miss Burnout. Because god damn it.
Hey man, we got a remaster. You can go back and enjoy that on your current console.
Criterion can just make me a new one for Christ's sake.
And then there was one that you had actually mentioned the other day, and that is Ikaruga.
Indeed. Is it Ikaruga? Is it Ikaruga?
I think it's Ikaruga. That's how my buddies have said it, so I just kind of go with that. And if you don't know what Ikaruga is, it's basically... I think it was one of the first games to really, really introduce the term bullet hell.
Well, it definitely had a different take on it. With the whole
and that was the whole thing there that too. Is it wasn't just a bullet hell, it was that your ship could flip from white to black, and if you were white, you could travel through white projectiles, and then black, vice versa. So, and it really added to kind of the puzzle element of it, because there were literally moments where the screen was entirely filled with bullets, and you could only travel in the right color in the bullet streams and everything.
You had to be very careful when you flipped and everything.
Suffice to say, people that love like just chaos and stress-inducing games, they absolutely adore this game.
Good lord.
So PS4 is getting the remaster of that.
Yay.
Actually, another remaster that I'm kind of excited about is it Lumines or Luminous?
Lumines, I think it is.
Is it Lumines?
It's like French.
Lumines?
Like lights, right?
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I'm not French, so
neither
I don't know
am
these
I.
things.
I'm probably the furthest thing from French.
No, I'm further. I didn't know it was Lumines or Lumines or whatever. Anyways, it's like a Tetris... It's almost like a Tetris music game, and I played it on the PSP. That's where it originally came out. And I actually adored this game because I love Tetris.
Sure.
And I love kind of like music-based games and stuff like that. So to blend those two together, they did a really good job of it. It was a lot of fun.
Confirm Jack is the Frenchest. Fuck you, Tron.
The Frenchiest. He's the Frenchiest.
So Damon Blade is correcting it. No, it's... I want to say Lumine. Which means that Damon Blade is the Frenchiest of them all. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Anyways, in the chat.
However 5 or 6 different ways you want to say it, that one is getting remastered on the PS4.
Who's the Frenchiest in the chat?
Which is great, because that is a fun little puzzle game there. And then... What was it? I think there was one more here. No, not Tour de France. Who the fuck... Who plays biking simulator games?
You know, they actually have a... and I'm going to say that it's fun, but I've only heard this by, second and third parties. There's a Tour de France board game.
A Tour de France board?
Where
Okay.
You like have little guys on bikes and you're going around. I do not know, but it's like everywhere. It's super popular. It's a Euro thing. It just recently came out.
Sounds very Euro.
Well,
are the little biking guys wooden blocks?
No, they're not. No, they're which you would think if it was Euro, but no, they're little plastic dudes on bikes.
Okay.
And they're going around like a track. Like it's I guess the French version of our Descent, right? Except it's Tour de France instead of monsters.
Say, let's you have a sword and you're attacking goblins along the way or something like that.
The Overlord keeps putting out like drug testing and whatnot.
See, I would fucking play that if you could kill goblins on bike back and in the Tour de France.
That'd be the weirdest Tour de France ever. Okay, so
Tour de France. Okay,
a couple other things.
You got a couple there.
Yes, Far Cry 3 Classic comes out for PS4.
I wasn't sure if you were going to mention that one, but yeah, so that one came out in digital.
Yeah,
so.
that's going to be the standalone one. So if you didn't buy the season pass, you can buy it separately if you're still interested in Far Cry 3 Classic. I've been playing it again.
Yep.
It entertained me over the weekend. Just sort of, I was in a bit of a gaming slump.
So I guess I have to ask now: is 3 or 5 your favorite Far Cry?
I think it's 5 now.
Yeah, is it 5? It officially took that. That podium there.
3 was good, but I had a problem with 3's plot because it had sort of a Marvel Netflix series problem where it peaked in the middle.
Oh, and then, it took a bit of a dive, a lull in the middle.
Speaking of which, I really hope that Kelly and Abel talk about this tomorrow, but Luke Cage Season 2, way better than Season 1.
I would hope so, because Season 1 wasn't great.
It was okay.
It was good for what it was,
just
but...
It had that peak in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
This one, just all the way up. Very good. Okay, so Far Cry 3 Classic, PS4, Xbox One. King of Fighters Collection, PS2 to PS4. That comes out as well on Tuesday.
You love the Neo Geo Fighters. That one's all for you.
King of Fighters, everybody loves that. And Nier Automata Becomes Gods Edition comes out for Xbox.
Go get it. If you have an Xbox One and you have not played Nier Automata, or even if you have, fucking buy it. It's so good.
And, of course, also for Xbox One owners, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy comes out on the 29th, which I believe is Friday.
Oh, sweet.
Yes. So same day as Ikaruga and the Crew 2.
And I believe it was just announced today that Nintendo Switch is actually picking up the Insane Trilogy also.
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me at all. All right. So, you ready for the news?
I am ready.
All right.
Lay it on me.
So we're going to have some new additional information about Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So we're getting
because a lot of people were getting kind of mixed signals as it was going along, and hey, Commander Santa, welcome to the stream.
Howdy, Commander Santa.
You cooking up some good food tonight, or are you done dinner already?
So, Commander Santa, you say approved on both. Are you talking about, and I'm going to butcher it again, Lumines? Lumine? Luminous? Is he trying to say luminous? And he's just even worse at French than we are?
Because luminous, if a light is lit, it's luminous.
In French, it's lumine. Like,
is it a French game?
I mean, I don't think so. I thought it was.
I don't remember who made it, so
it reminded me a lot.
Oh, Near and Crash.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all good too.
Then both of those are good. It reminded me a lot of that old one for the PS2, Fantavision.
Oh yes, yeah, the fireworks one.
Yeah. I don't know if they have anything to do with each other. Just
I don't think so.
Mentally,
yeah, they were music-based kind of puzzler games. Nice. So yeah,
jazz hands. Okay, so Assassin's Creed Trilogy.
There you go. It's from Japan. So
it is from Japan.
Yeah.
Well, it could be from Japan. They could just use a French name. Look at Declassified from Software, which we're also going to talk about today. So I happen to have it here.
All right.
And it's got Declassified. It's got to look at accent grave.
You mean an accent?
Accent. Grave aigu, I think. Grave is the other one.
See,
I do
you
not
have
know,
way more knowledge
right?
when it comes to language
Which
than I do.
Is super ironic considering how shitty I was at French. Like, not even a little bit. Okay, so Assassin's Creed Odyssey. There was a AMA on Twitter with AC Odyssey's creative director Jonathan Dumont. This was a few days ago.
Okay.
So he gave us some more details about the game. Apparently, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is going to be the biggest Assassin's Creed map they've ever done.
Really?
Now, first of all, it's the biggest they've ever done, but about half of it is going to be sea.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Right. But unlike Assassin's Creed 4, where it was like a whackload of sea and a little bit of land, it's going to be
like
a fair amount of sea.
Like half and half.
Right, more like 50-50, right?
Yeah.
So it's the biggest map they've ever done. You're going to meet Socrates and Hippocrates, the guy who made the Hippocratic Oath.
Right.
So famous Greek scholars. And they brought back seamless naval gameplay. So you're going to be like hopping your ship, you go on the ship,
and
you jump off. Yeah, right. Exactly. You don't have to worry about it. You can hire people to be on your crew, and each person you hire gives you different benefits. So it's going to be like a specific crew with guys have roles, and you assign them and crap, apparently. So there are going to be 50 levels of progression for your character. There's going to be levels of progression for your ship as well. There's going to be a reversible cover, so you can either have Alexios or Cassandra on your game. So that'll be cool.
I like that, actually. Yeah, it's just that it's like an extra little thing that you can have.
You know, I wish they'd done that. Like they did it with the Bioshock. It was Bioshock.
They had alternate art for it, right?
They did it for The Last of Us, I think, as well.
Yes.
The one thing that
they had the really moody black and white thing on the other side, I think.
I really wish they would have given us the Japanese cover for Detroit, because it was way better than the zoomed-in one.
I remember you posting that one too, and then they also had a collector's edition that we didn't even get. I think it was in a white box, and it looked all like futuristic and everything.
But Brian Deckard actually, he agreed with me. Is like, it's so much better.
Yeah.
So, and those of you who don't know, that's the guy who actually plays Connor. He's like a big Twitch guy now. There is going to be more than one piece of Eden, so not just the Spear of Leonidas.
So they confirmed that is a piece of Eden, though?
Yes. Well, I mean, they said it was an artifact of the first civilization. They never actually used the words.
Yeah.
But in this, they did. Okay. They confirmed that it is. There's going to be 7 different biomes, so different environments, so like a desert, blah, blah, whatever.
Right.
I don't know what they all are, but there's going to be 7 of them.
I don't know. Desert, water, jungle, snow on top of a mountain.
Jello. Pudding.
Mines, I don't know.
Underground, that could be one of them.
Pudding. I want to go to the pudding realm.
Well, you say that now. Let me tell you. There's going to be parkour puzzles are coming back to it. So like some of the ones from previous Assassin's Creeds.
Like that.
Yeah. Dialogue choices will lead to sometimes different quest solutions or different endings to the game overall.
Okay.
So dialogue will apparently be as important. I won't say as important, but still an important factor in the game. Ship
Paragon
recruits,
Renegade stuff going on there.
Punch that reporter.
Yeah.
Ship recruits can be used to distract and fight NPCs, so they're going to be like your Brotherhood kind of thing. I don't know if it's going to be all the same kind of thing, but
I was going to say, I wonder if they're going to have that thing where you can send them on missions to like get you extra resources and stuff.
maybe. You never know. Player can pet and tame many different animals, but there are no cats. You don't want to go to the pudding realm. Cosby's the lean assassin. Why is this pudding making me sleepy?
In the Jello pudding realm. Oh man, no thanks. All right, I'll stay.
Nothing is true. Everything is permitted.
I'm gonna steer clear of the pudding realm now. Thanks.
Yeah. Hey. Someone's asleep. Anyway, okay, so the modern day story is apparently not optional. So
Okay.
I don't know if that was a miscommunication or they've made some changes.
Yeah.
But apparently it's not optional.
Yeah, because that would just like we sat there and we scratched our heads
Right.
like that seems kind of confusing.
Really, yeah.
Why would they build a piece of a game if it's just
Right.
completely optional?
But they say that narrative choices made by the players might result in more present-day content for those who want it.
Oh, okay.
So there's probably going to be some aspect, maybe it's going to be not a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not optional, and there might be a lot more if that's what you want, which
okay.
I definitely do. And Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a direct continuation of the modern-day story from Layla, who is the ex-Templar from the first one, or ex-Abstergo person. Well, I say for the first one, from Origins.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we're back into a constant modern-day character that is progressing the storyline forward. Finally.
Did they switch it back to third person, or is it still
Yes,
stuck?
it is.
Okay.
It is definitely third person.
Good, because I fucking
Yes.
hated when they switched it to
Yeah.
first person.
I mean, it was kind of neat, but it really took you out of the game when your
But
character was nobody.
Not only were you a nobody and like you were beyond a nobody because you couldn't even see your own face or anything
Yeah.
like that, but it was such a departure from playing a third person game.
Right.
Not only in that game, but playing a third person character in the past 5 games or whatever.
It was kind of entertaining, like the concept of Ubisoft as Abstergo, like you were basically creating an Assassin's Creed game, like, and the implication
it was something.
right. Even though I'm not that big fan of cats, that's a loss for them. I guess after being in Egypt and having cats like everywhere and being very important, I guess they decided to take a step away from cats. I guess Greeks didn't like cats. I don't. I mean, they were big into dogs.
As long as they're not barbecuing them on the streets or something.
Like Odysseus had a dog, and that's where the original Fido. It was from Fidelis. He was a
really?
faithful dog. Yes. So like he waited for him for the 10 years he went to Troy. So stupid little piece of fucking trivia there. All right. So, and yes, let's acknowledge the fact Commander Santa is in the chat. It's always good to see Commander Santa, our fellow digital fiascoite, our Fiasco Supremo, as it were.
Fiasco Supremo.
Well, actually, if you look at the Discord, and by the way, for anyone who hasn't joined the Discord yet, there's a live link in the chat there. Not in the chat, pardon me, in the description of the Twitch video.
Yeah.
So now anyone can join the Discord, and if we don't like you, we'll boot you. But anyway, the ranks for the people in the staff is the Fiasco Supreme for the staff, and then you and I are Fiasco Ultimo. So, all right. I think people who are we have Fiasco Medio for the mediators.
That's perfect.
Right?
I love it.
Yeah. So I went into the whole Latin aspect of it. So anyway, Skull and Bones.
Yes.
So Skull and Bones. If you're holding out hope for Skull and Bones, maybe, I don't know, batten your hatches a bit.
What did they deliver some news that's not so great, or are they actually axing it or something?
No, they're not axing it.
Okay.
No, but
they just had a big presentation at E3.
No,
Why would they
just
fuck with it now?
I'm just saying, brace for impact. We're hearing that it was like a games as a service kind of thing. Apparently, it's a little more Destiny than maybe I would like it to be.
As a pirate ship game.
Yeah, so
Okay.
people right now who've had hands-on with it are
Yeah.
describing it as Destiny with pirates.
Oh, that's not great.
You can't get off the ship. You can't get off the ship at all.
Okay, well, what was the animation of having an island and the guy was walking around on the
That
port?
was his hideout.
Okay.
So that's like the equivalent of like the tower in Destiny. It's like
Okay.
your social space.
It's like your hangout.
Right.
But that's it.
So there's no getting off. They haven't shown third-person combat yet. Apparently, you can still board ships.
Okay.
But they haven't shown any of the third-person combat yet.
Interesting.
Which makes me concerned. There are a couple of modes they've announced. One called Disputed Waters, which is PvP matchmaking. So it's like a straight up. I think the best way to describe it at this point is kind of like not so much Destiny, maybe something like League of Legends.
Just two ships sitting next to each other. Get out of my waters! You get out of my waters!
Well, yes, except with cannons. But and then there's going to be Hunting Grounds, which are basically like the free roam mode. Where you're just wandering the ocean. There'll be like 10 players.
Just shoot at anything that moves.
Right. So there'll be like PvE environments, like you'll have actually NPC ships to shoot, but there'll also be PC ships, and you're just wandering around kind of...
I think that's kind of what they showed off at E3, because there was like a merchant ship, and then the fucking AI, like, Imperial Army came out of there, and they were trying to defend it and all that kind of stuff.
That's kind of neat. You hook up with a guy you don't know. I mean, phrasing. You hook up with a player you don't know, you defend some ships, you kill some other folks, you go head-to-head against some PvP. I guess that's okay. But, I mean, if you can't get off the ship, how much can they possibly do with that to keep that entertaining? I don't know.
It's really like pirate battles.
Yeah, I mean, I do, but in Assassin's Creed 4, like half the game was the actual being an assassin. And the boarding especially. That was an excellent part of it, but I don't know. So players unlock starter ships. They upgrade them with better gear and eventually add other ships to choose from. And Skull and Bones creative director Justin Farron describes it like this. Our ships are RPG archetypes. So you have tanks, you have DPS, hybrid, support. That's the kind of experience we want people to have, so it's accessible and people understand it.
I mean, that makes sense.
It does.
Go with a model that works.
Right. So players will find their favorite, and then as they learn the intricacy and develop the skill of navigation and combat, they start to develop proficiencies with that ship. So it's starting to sound less like an Assassin's Creed 4 reskin, and more like, 1500s Dreadnought.
I mean, I was expecting it to be its own thing. I was never expecting another Assassin's Creed game. Like, I wasn't expecting to go to multiple islands and run around and, like, kill a bunch of stuff with my own sword.
Looks like Tron is taking paid time off. He was forced to. He suddenly has 2 weeks paid time off. Wow. Boo fucking who with your diamond shoes being too tight. I wish my boss would come up to, take 2 weeks vacation right now.
Yeah, don't cut your eyes on your diamond-encrusted Kleenex or anything like that.
We're so poor we have to move our horse to a smaller stable. Jesus Christ. Anyway.
But anyways, I was saying, I wasn't expecting it to be another Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be a little more like Sea of Thieves, where when you hook onto another boat, you can cross over, you can beat up the guys or sword fight them or whatever, like do that kind of thing and either take over the ship or just completely sink it. I like that kind of interactivity, but I was never expecting like a half and half game where half of it's like in a ship and the other half is like you're exploring islands and third person. Like, not saying that I don't want that, but I wasn't expecting it of that. I knew that they were going to go in a bit of a different direction.
Well, Commander Santa's on board for it because, of course, he's the Destiny of all Destiny. And I mean, no disparagement. You're a Destiny whore, my friend. And
don't worry, in Skull and Bones, it's pirate themed, so we're not going to get loot boxes. We're going to get treasure chests.
Yar! Booty. Pirate booty. Yeah, so, I mean, it does sound cool for people who like that kind of thing, or like a Dota-style game. I think it'll be like popular with that kind of crowd. I don't know.
It's unfortunate because
no fouls there, Jack. Yeah. How many 100 hours have you played Destiny? I just gotta know.
It's thousands.
Is it thousands?
He's
of
over
hours?
1,000 at least. I think when we had talked a bit before.
Yeah.
I think he had at least like 1,200 or 1,400 hours in it or something like that.
See, Main Kill Destroy likes Dota a little bit. And I mean, frankly, the idea of a pirate...
He's been playing Dota for 12 years.
2,000 hours.
There you go.
Is that even mathematically possible?
Hey, dude, there are people that have literally logged like 6,000 hours in Skyrim. Like,
well, yeah, but Skyrim's been out for like 8,000 years. But anyway, I mean, the concept of a pirate Dota does kind of sound interesting, but I mean... I don't know. I had my heart set on kind of a different mechanic. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Terrified to see my. I think
the one thing that I would have changed, and it sounds like they're going the alternate route of kind of like the For Honor type thing, where they were just like, it's multiplayer, it's online, you do all this stuff through loot boxes and everything like that, and you kind of make the game that you want out of it.
Right.
Whereas what For Honor was supposed to be was it had a full single player campaign with multiplayer in it, which I was more interested at that
Yeah.
point because it's like, oh, they can tell a story, they can do some interesting stuff with some of the landscapes and the level layouts and everything. But when you throw it into PvP or even PvE, it's just an arena and that's it. Like,
Right.
you just go at it. So I feel like maybe that's where Skull and Bones is going to end up
Maybe.
kind of falling short for me anyways, is that there's not really going to be that single player experience. It's literally going to be no matter what you're
Right.
doing, it's online all the time. Even if there's AI players that you can either attack or defend or whatever,
Yeah.
it's still going to feel kind of empty just because there's no real story behind it. You kind of make your own story.
Kind of seems that way. And I mean, here's a couple other things. Like, it seems like Ubisoft is specifically concentrating on this kind of delivery mechanism for games now.
Yeah, and I have to say it's kind of unfortunate because again, they're leaving people like me and you behind, where we like a single player experience.
Okay, well, there's
more so, anyways.
there can be room for both depending on the situation, right? So here's the thing: we have talking about the Division 2. Head of Ubisoft North America, Laurent de Talk, is talking about the games as a service model employed by Ubisoft and how it helps grow the game's communities over time. So this is kind of a general statement, but he specifically was talking about the Division 2 at the time. So he says, it hasn't happened in the past because this just isn't how publishers have historically approached engagement. There it is. And retention in games. We didn't need to.
Hashtag engagement.
Right. A game was done and it shipped. There weren't live elements to a game. Now that games have live elements, the smart way to handle them is to keep working on them to maintain engagement too. That way
Jeez,
you
it's
can,
not even Microsoft this time.
Well, they did announce it at Microsoft conference. That way you can build towards the next game too. That trend is certainly going to continue. Games don't end. They don't stop. We have to commit to making sure they don't stop. When people understand that, they stay with them. So they are literally trying to build this ongoing, and here it is for the hat trick, engagement.
Right.
So that people continue to play their games. They don't trade them in. They keep coming back and fueling it with microtransactions and whatnot. So you have the Division 2. You have Skull and Bones. You have now frigging Beyond Good and Evil that's coming out. They're going to have a beta apparently by the end of next year.
Oh, really?
It's a ways off. So that's probably a PS5 game.
Yeah, or one of those split ones where you can multi-console or whatever.
Like in the year of the PS5's
Yeah.
release. So yeah, so that's three games. But I don't know. Like,
engagement.
yeah, engagement again.
Yeah, maybe Kill says, because the games don't stop, neither do the microtransactions. That's basically it. Keep that cycle going.
You had so many hats, more hats, all the hats.
Yeah.
Taking the digital extremes approach. Now, help me out with digital extremes. That name sounds familiar, and I can picture the logo with the D and the E.
Yeah.
I cannot remember what the hell they do.
Yeah, what the hell did they do? Commander Santa, help us out. There's obviously something you're kind of picking out there.
If he fucking says Warframe, I'm out. He did.
Oh,
Damn it!
there you go. It is Warframe.
I knew it was buried back there. I knew it. All right. But yeah, Commander Santa, shockingly enough, loves him some Warframe.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
indeed.
So I'm okay with a game like Grand Theft Auto Online or like Wildlands. Like Wildlands was a full game.
Yeah.
And then they had a bunch of games as a service stuff they kind of heaped on top of it. I've got a problem when it's games like the first Division game that was just like a skeleton, or the original Destiny, or what was that other one? Oh, like Final Fantasy 15.
For Honor.
Oh, yeah, For Honor was just, I think it's still pretty bad.
No, because these are still, they're very multiplayer dedicated
Right.
things. Final Fantasy 15 is an anomaly. It's a very strange and weird thing that needs its own documentary to explain.
But I mean, it was like they needed the DLC just to finish the fucking game. They didn't release it in a finished state. So I mean, they're patching plot in, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, that's where I lose my fucking mind. But if they want to keep supporting a game and fuel it by people that buy optional microtransactions like Grand Theft Auto Online, and then just stick you on a treadmill, I'm okay with that.
It just sucks that we never got our single player Grand Theft Auto 5
That would be
with
nice.
all the money, the stupid amounts of money that they've made, and the amount of players that they still have playing that game. They refuse to bring out any other single player content for it.
And you know what? It's scary because like month to month, you always see Grand Theft Auto on there, even if it's like 8th or 9th.
I mean, we're not talking $300 million in April or anything,
no.
but
No.
it's still they're making stupid amounts of money.
Well, no, it's like so many billions. Actually, there was an article that Stroz Zelnick was walking up, basically dick slapping EA and Ubisoft. Ubisoft has something like 14,000 employees, and 2K has somewhere in the neighborhood of 4,500.
Yeah.
And the revenue is greater with 2K games. I mean, yeah, they've got Rockstar to fall back on, but I mean, there's still BioShock, there's other, all the 2K games and whatnot. But, he said to that, and then he was looking at EA, and it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? So Strauss Zelnick, everyone knows, he's a bit of a guy.
It's that balance of your gaming model, the quality of your game, but then also the size of your company, because EA can only have so much of a profit because they are 5 times the size of anyone else on the planet right now.
I think that's what his point was with EA, was they don't put out games like yearly like EA does, and just swamp the market. You need to, you could do Madden especially, you could do that as a game as a service model.
Out of all the games as a service games we have these days, like within the past year or the 2 years or whatever, why is that one of all things not changed? Like, we're talking like MLB, NFL, NHL, like these should all be games as a service games now.
Because EA knows that people are going to buy them at full price every fucking year.
But that's the whole thing. You take that one price per year, $80 Canadian per game, or you keep feeding them content at $2, $5, $20.
But how much
sports
extra
fans
content?
they're going to
like what extra content could you have throughout the year for that? That's the big problem I have with
I don't leave that up to the corporate assholes at EA to figure that shit out.
I mean, actually have like the Packers out there, like
every little thing that you can get in there. Yeah, like updates to how the audience looks. Update to
the cheeseheads, the Wisconsin people,
the Green Bay Packers.
It is the Packers, the cheeseheads. Okay, whatever. I don't know.
But you could update stadiums, like, oh, this team just got this new stadium, so you buy this upgrade for it. This team just got third jerseys or something, so you have that.
Classic stuff.
They got a whole bunch of new players signed, so you switch all that shit around. Like just like little bits and pieces like that and everything.
Yeah, a draft and trade deadline every year changes the roster. Yeah, but I mean the roster. Yeah, but like they have roster updates that sometimes get put in through patches too.
You could sell your favorite team's theme for the game. Just like you have PlayStation themes or Xbox themes or whatever, people would fucking pay for it. Because if people pay $80 a year for a game that they played last year, they're going to pay for other things inside that game too.
I just don't think. Yeah, I know the market is there. I don't dispute that. I just don't know if there's enough content to fuel a game like that in a games as a service model, right? Because you can always make more hats. There's no real life equivalent to that in a football game. Like,
sure they are. Put your team in cowboy hats instead of helmets.
Okay.
People would We're talking about stupid cosmetics. People pay for this. They really would.
I mean, there's an argument to be made there, and I think it's come up. It has to have come up in EA board meetings. Like,
either that or switch it over to the Photoshop model and just charge like $15, $20 a month, but you constantly have the newest iteration all the time, forever.
Maybe.
Submission model. I guess it'd be submission? I don't know. Whatever. Like that kind of thing. Like just you would have the freshest up to date, like they would change the layout of it all the time. You would have constant rosters update, like you would always have the best graphics in it and like that because they would constantly update it.
So let's go back a bit. For Honor is trash. I agree. Make, kill, destroy.
It's unfortunate because it could have been good, but they fucked with it way too much.
You go back and you listen to our podcast before For Honor came out.
You were never for it though.
No, but I mean, it's not the.
I only gave the final straw after I played the beta of it. And I was it is trash.
I did play the beta, and I was like, I always gave it a chance to suck on its own merit, like Final Fantasy 15, and it did indeed suck. Single player content costs money. GTA Online shit makes money, but it does both. It costs money. It just makes way more fucking money. But they put out like the heists content that they technically were supposed to release at launch, and it took them a year to do.
Yeah,
I would have paid an extra $30 for that content alone. That was such good content. We had our payday crew running all those heists in GTA 5. It was so much fucking fun.
It's okay. You can look forward to train heists in Red Dead.
Oh my god, how is there not a train robbery in the first one? Anyway, all right. $50 a year for roster updates. It would have to be less than that. Rules change. Like how often?
Well, roster update, rule change, new jerseys, retired players.
How often do rules change in football that would be a
they always tweak. They tweak them every year, technically, even if it's just small little things, like a couple yards here and there, or they do this instead of that. Like same with NHL. I mean, they're always changing a rule or two a year.
Damn football with their infield fly rule. Anyway. All right, if it were just an app, the Sports Bro would be confused if they need to subscribe. I think their excuse is they get the new scans of players each year, says Damon Blade. I mean, I don't think Sports Bros are really going to be confused by this. If they can handle Madden, they can handle signing up for a fucking...
It's what they buy every year,
Right.
so that's kind of the
It's
deal.
Madden season! Anyway.
Ready for some football?
Question for them remains, why would they bother changing their model when the bro dudes are guaranteed to buy a brand over $80? Exactly. So EA is not going to fuck with that. That's their bread and butter. That's how they can afford not to make Dead Space 4. Speaking of EA and making shitty decisions, let's talk about Anthem.
Okay.
So that was entirely...
We've gotten further info past what we got at E3. Okay.
Yes. And again... Apparently, it's very similar to Destiny.
Go fucking figure. EA wanted a slice of Destiny's cake, they're building their own fucking wedding cake out of this one.
So the director of Anthem, Jonathan Warner, gave some new information about Anthem, and he says, structure is similar to Destiny. The overarching goal is to really power up your javelins, which is like the name of your...
He should have just said Destiny 50 times in a row and called it a day.
Destiny, engagement, Destiny.
Destiny.
Yes.
Hashtag Destiny.
Hashtag. It may as well be like, sorry, not sorry, it's Destiny, not Destiny.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah. So the overarching goal is really to power up your javelins, which is the name of your mechs.
Your Iron Man suit, yeah.
Right. To the degree where you feel they're pretty legendary. You play story-based missions in the campaign to defeat the enemy, which is called the Dominion.
Okay.
In what he calls the middle part of the game.
Are they aliens or are they humans that are... I don't know. The Dominion just seems like such a human-based name.
They're shapeshifters from the Gamma Quadrant.
Sure.
That's something else entirely.
I just like that they had that dubstep gun in that one level there.
Anyway, so then after that, there are endgame activities, which includes unlocking new world missions, daily challenges, and raids. There's apparently more than this, but they're not giving out any additional details at this time, which says to me they're not giving out any details that sets it apart from Destiny in any way other than they can outright fly.
Yeah.
Yay, they get to fly. So there's always going to be a reason to come back on a weekly or a daily basis for all their...
Do your daily grinds.
Right? Yeah, they wouldn't want you to be too far away from your fucking hamster wheel.
Yep.
So here's the description of the lore for the game in a nutshell, which sounds kind of strangely meta.
It's not Destiny.
No, but this is an unfinished world by its gods. The gods have left and left it in kind of a strange state, so there's always a conflict you're going to engage in.
Kind of a strange state. It's a lot of beer bottles, pizza boxes stacked in the corner.
So the game's not finished, and we kind of abandoned it, but people keep fighting over it because Anthem. As a pilot, you can have many different javelins. So this is the part that I do like. So not like a traditional RPG where you start out and you pick a class, you play for a few hours, then you start a new game and you play it again. It allows you to get in, start leveling up your pilot, and then change javelins as you want and as you see fit. So like specific to each missions, you can change up.
So that's cool. Unlike Destiny, if you picked a warlock, you were a warlock, and that was it. You couldn't change anything.
Fucking shitty jump. And that goddamn... temple orcs and fucking jumps with a stupid disappearing... Anyway, I'm not bitter. Anyway, so that's coming out February 22nd, 2019. I would like to see more of it, but
we're
really
going to see... It's EA. We're going to see a lot more of it. They are going to cram it down our throats until we buy it.
Yeah, it's just so very Destiny. So, speaking of cramming it down your throat...
suck on your own merits.
Yeah. So you remember we were talking about back in March at GDC, we were talking about the Atari VCS.
Oh, yes.
And you remember back in December, they were supposed to have an Indiegogo campaign, and no, we're going to cancel that because, we had some issues with
Well, they weren't going to hit their
hardware.
goals, so they were like,
pull it. I don't know. So anyway, a few months back in March, we knew that it was there, and they had, it wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
The reason it wasn't working, apparently, was the console wasn't real.
Oh, okay.
They had made a mock-up, and they had people examine it. They didn't turn it on. They didn't have it running. But it wasn't even a real fucking Atari VCS. So we have additional details about that exchange and a fun twist at the end. So this was reported by a reporter from the Register, which is a tech website. I went to talk to the CEO of Atari, whose name is Michael Arzt. Arzt. A-R-Z-T or A-R-Z-T for the Americans in the chat. They're talking about the Atari VCS. So it turns out that the game pads, the like Xbox style game pads,
Okay, yeah.
they were literally just a solid hunk of plastic.
Oh, okay.
They were not actually
They were probably 3D printed or something
like that. They were not movable at all. They had the Atari Classic controllers that had a USB plug. They were apparently manipulatable, and you could like hit the button and it lit up and shit.
Okay.
So it looked like an Atari controller, but it felt new.
Yeah.
So that part they had.
Probably because they just based it on the
Right.
original and then just made a USB jack and a light in it instead.
Right. But the CEO, he couldn't say whether or not you could use them with like a PC or if you could use them with another system because of the USB.
Okay.
He refused to give a pre-order date. Like he wouldn't even tell you when you could pre-order the thing. He refused to indicate why the Indiegogo campaign was canceled. And this is what was written in the article.
Okay.
Mike tries to tell us the big product launches are suspended all the time. We tell him they really aren't. And on the rare occasion they are, the company goes out of its way to explain why and give a new launch timeline, which is right. You don't want to give someone, second thoughts about buying, especially a fucking Atari console.
Mm-hmm.
Said I couldn't give specs, couldn't give an actual price, couldn't give you any details about the chipset. So this was in March. So a little while back during E3 on the Atari VCS Facebook page,
Yeah.
someone linked to him this article saying, what's up with this? Why, what this guy, he talks shit about all your console. And basically, on the Facebook page, they said this, and I quote,
Okay.
"We honestly can't explain that article either. Our executive sat with that reporter for half an hour and he wrote what he wanted instead of what was discussed with him. Sadly, there are even irresponsible trolls in professional positions, I guess." So this was thrown out there like a big fucking gauntlet. And the Register reporter, Kieran McCarthy, responded to the Facebook post. He said, "Oh dear, you must have forgotten that I recorded the interview. We'll see if my editor is interested in a follow-up given your accusations." So he posted the entire 30-minute interview.
Yeah.
And literally went statement by statement and said, "Oh, you don't think I said this? Well, here's the clip. Here's the clip." You can listen to the whole fucking thing. It is shocking how unprofessional this guy sounds, how sketchy this whole situation was. I was worried before. I listened to this interview and it's like, oh my God, this is like, I wouldn't even buy like a, has this happened to you kind of product from this guy. He would not
seen on TV.
Oh, it's terrible. It sounds like way more sketchy than even those guys. If you want to go search it, check it out. But holy shit, I don't think the Atari VCS is going to be anything.
It sounds like if they wanted to be something, they should get rid of that fucking guy and get someone else in charge or something.
I don't think it's the guy. I just don't think there's nobody sponsoring this guy except for us as the end user. It's basically like a Kickstarter. There's no go forward plan. It's going to be another Ouya. That's
which is unfortunate. I wanted to see some extra shit come out, but apparently,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do that, you're just gonna fuck up and fail at it, and you'll just never see anything.
Damon Blade is saying that just change subclasses. You always have 3 characters. Yeah, you can have 3 characters. You have 3 subclasses. You gotta level them all up separately. It's bullshit, is what it is. You can't share their equipment. You can't share their progression. You can't share their money. You can't share their glimmer or their what's the silver. You can't share their silver. So yeah, not the same thing. Fuck Destiny.
Cheers.
So speaking of things that are never going to come out, Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Hey, that's gonna come out. I'm banking on it.
My hope springs eternal. But in this week's issue of Weekly Famitsu, they actually gave an update and reassured people, yes, we're still working on it. It's in good shape.
Well, I think the biggest part of this too is the fact that we have Kingdom Hearts with a release date now,
Right.
and that was a major hurdle for them.
Yeah.
Once they unleashed the power of like what was behind that game, of like their studios that were working on it and everything like
Right.
that is going to put a whole new life into the remake of Final Fantasy
You can
VII.
share equipment in silver. It's on the same account. Okay, silver you can, and your sharing equipment is only useful if you have enough vault space. And I don't know about you, but vault space sometimes can be at a premium when you have a bunch of raid equipment and you happen to get a drop and you don't know if it's going to be useful and you throw it back in.
Yada, yada, yada. Jack hates Destiny.
I have some issues with Destiny. I don't hate Destiny. I played a lot of Destiny. Had a lot of fun doing it.
No, you've just said hashtag fuck Destiny a few times.
I'm not saying I'm not done with it. I'm just saying, it was fun for a while. It didn't live up to my expectations. The rating was good, but that treadmill, Jesus Christ, does it hurt? Anyway, so Tetsuya Nomura, who is the remake director,
Of course.
he says, development is moving along more than expected, so please wait for the next news release with peace of mind. So he's trying to reassure us in a stolidly Japanese way. While preserving the atmosphere of the original, the scenario will dig deeper into the characters, including members of Avalanche, which is kind of neat.
I like that idea, because, you don't really get to know who they are until... Basically, it's kind of too late, and even then, it's just kind of like, oh, here's some shit that's happening. All right, let's go.
Yeah, and then it's just going to be used for pathos.
Yeah,
it's like henchman number 1. It's like, don't tell me your name. Now you're sure to die.
Yep.
Anyway, it's like I'm going to go off on a fucking tangent. So the direction was pretty much decided upon before we changed to internal development. So that's when they took back production from whatever that third-party company was. He says the production is going well. So he's seeking to reassure people we're at the helm, we're handling it, it's good. The fact that Nomura is working on it, I really don't want it to be like the active combat that Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts has.
Right, and all we can really do is just sit and wait, which is, But I don't know. I'm going to put it right now. I won't mind if it's active combat if they keep it simple and in the same vein as Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
If they go balls crazy and just make it a direct copy of Final Fantasy 15,
oh Jesus,
that will be way too much.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about 7 is that it was simplistic in its mechanics. So if they're going to have active combat, keep everything else in it simple then.
Yeah.
Don't fucking change a bunch of stuff just because it's a modern game, because it isn't. It's a remake of a classic. Don't fuck with the classic.
Well, worst case scenario, they're only fucking up Final Fantasy VII.
Yes, I know. And you have your issues with 7 also, so there's that.
And the one thing I liked about it was its fucking mechanics, and they're throwing them out. Motherfucker. All right. So, again, talking about games that
we'll just have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see.
So, again, talking about games that are never going to come out. Let's talk about Death Stranding.
Oh, God.
So,
don't you say that.
It's a Kojima game, so it'll get there eventually. It's just, what the fuck it's going to be, who the hell knows.
Kept you waiting.
We have some hints about the plot.
Okay.
And it from the most unlikely
we haven't
places.
gotten any hints yet from all the videos we've seen.
But here's the thing. It's actually from the description of the official YouTube trailer version of the E3 demo.
Oh, okay.
So it actually has some stuff, it phrases it differently. It's kind of what we knew, but it leads to some interesting sort of discussion.
Okay.
So
does it answer a few questions and then ask 10 more?
Oh, yes, of course, obviously. So from legendary game creator Hideo Kojima comes an all-new genre-defining experience for the PlayStation 4. Besieged by death's tide at every turn, Sam Bridges must brave a world utterly transformed by the Death Stranding. So that's like a proper noun, the Death Stranding.
Okay.
Carrying the stranded remnants of the future in his hands, Sam embarks on a journey to reunite the shattered world one step at a time. What is the mystery of the Death Stranding? What will Sam discover on the road ahead? A genre-defining gameplay experience holds these answers and more. So the one thing we can take away from this that is genre-defining, because that's not a game that ever has existed before.
Nope. And that's what I kept saying is some people are like, oh, it's so weird, or I don't get it. It's like, no, that's perfect. I love to see a trailer come out and challenge what I can think of as a game.
Yeah.
Because when I see it, it's like I see elements of stuff that I've played before, but as a whole package, I'm still confused and intrigued by what's actually happening. I want to know more about this game. Whereas 99% of other trailers, you see, it's like, oh, it's a racing game. Oh, it's a shooter game. Oh, it's a puzzle game. Yeah, I get it.
It's definitely the best creepy baby carrying around weird pregnancy, naked guy, invisible handprint monster simulator that I've ever seen.
Physics walking simulator, backpack physics walking simulator.
With real toe ripping accent. Like that toenail thing still, just thinking about it still.
Yep.
Press X to rip toenails.
Yeah.
All right.
And welcome to the chat, TK Star. Thank you for updating us with Steve's interesting take. He says that he's wearing a tinfoil hat and it's secretly a new Metal Gear Solid game.
First of all, let's go back. Commander Santa says Kojima-san is a saint. I absolutely agree with you. I just wish he would do more Snatcher-esque stuff and less...
Are you going to leave the dude alone as soon as he makes another Snatcher game?
No,
Or are you just going to demand another Snatcher game out of him?
I really wish that he'd made a deal for his freedom.
And yes, TK Star, he's obviously wrong because
Yes.
A, Kojima is above Metal Gear now, and B, Konami owns Metal Gear, so he can't touch Metal Gear anymore.
Right, unless Kojima-san's secretly working, like Death Stranding's actually a pachinko game. Metal Gear 6 pachinko.
Wow. Genre defining.
Yes,
Playing a full
right?
third-person game on a pachinko machine.
It would define the genre for third-person pachinko. Oh my god. There's this conspiracy theory video. Well,
Jack just needs to play Night Trap on Switch. Believe me,
is that Travis?
I've been asking him to do that for a stream.
Oh my god. Okay.
It won't be on Switch, I don't think. We'll probably just have it on PS4, but whatever.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I swear to God, if Steve ever mails me a copy of Night Trap, I will fucking end him.
Yeah.
And this is Florida Steve.
And TK Star is in the same boat as I.
That, right?
Metal Gear Solid, along with Silent Hill, are dead because they're pachinko machines
Exactly.
now. So yeah,
Which is
let
unfortunate.
them rest.
Welcome to the chat, TK Star. Good to see you. But yeah, I really wish there was a new Metal Gear. I'm not sad to bid it farewell if we're going to get something else that Kojima can devote himself to.
Yep.
But I still don't know. I'm going to have to wait to see, obviously. But, I have concerns.
Oh, no concerns on my end of things. I know he's going to deliver something interesting. It may not be like the best game of all time, but if you can give me a solid gaming experience with a really intriguing like storyline to it, I'm on board. I love it.
I'm just thinking back to like Zone of Enders, which a lot of people liked. I just bought to get like the Metal Gear 2 demo.
Oh, okay.
And didn't really do anything for me. But
that's weird because you love mechs.
I know, right? But it's like it was just too kind of, I don't know, floaty nonsense. Like, which is ironic because it was basically Gundam.
But I mean, if you're trying to compare Death Stranding to that, they're like night and day.
Yeah,
You're talking
and you look at his track record, it's like the one game out of every one that he's made that I haven't really liked.
And it's also just, it was like a flying mech PS2 game. You can only really do so much with it. This is his complete and like, total control over a game.
Sure.
So.
All right. I mean, I'll give it a chance, but I still don't know what the hell it is. So how can I know if I'm going to like it or not? I'll give it a chance.
I guess the best way in kind of TK Star's like talking about it there is that it's basically if he makes this game something that is like genre defining and stuff like that, we'll see if all of a sudden EA and Ubi start making their own version of a Death Stranding because they're like, oh, that's a new thing. Let's do that.
TK Star says, press F to pay respects for Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hill.
Yes.
I absolutely. And we salute you for it. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Oh, God, I miss that so much. Kojima is definitely capable of creating a brand new and unique IP. Because, I mean, you look at Policenauts, you look at Snatcher, you look at Metal Gear, you look at Metal Gear.
You look at a lot of these things. They use elements of games that came before, but they're always Kojima-esque. Like, he always has his own flair and his own spin on things.
Yep.
So,
I mean, even the Castlevania game that he made was decent, and they had to salvage the previous one that was kind of iffy to begin with. So.
And Commander Santa, we don't talk about Einhander because it's way too fucking hard.
Einhander is super hard.
It's a very difficult game.
No one talks about Einhander.
I don't think I ever beat like the third level in that fucking game.
I don't remember that. I remember I went back to Omega Boost because it was easier. So, yeah. Gundam Breaker this week. I'm actually kind of interested in that. That was one that I didn't mention that came out this week. I still don't know what to think about that yet.
It's
the Gunpla
aspect. They're kind of hit and miss. It's the best to just kind of if you don't own one right now, I think it's okay to dive in. If you have like the previous 3 of them, I don't think you're gonna be missing out on much. I think that's kind of what the fans have been talking about it.
It's basically gonna be a mech fighting game where you customize shit. It's basically like the slot car racing in Yakuza 0, but with Gundams.
Armored Core Light,
right?
That's basically it.
Yeah. Speaking of Armored Core Light, why have we never seen a Front Mission Evolve 2?
I'm quite shocked that we haven't seen any more Front Mission.
I'm surprised we haven't seen like the basic Front Mission, let alone they were going that Armored Core route.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about Detroit.
Yes, let's.
So Detroit Become Human is now officially Quantic Dream's most successful game launch ever.
I'm not surprised because I mean they do all those heavy story-based games. So I mean, as your games get better, they should technically be your best-selling game to date.
You would think, right? I mean, Beyond Two Souls didn't do as well, but their best one before this was Heavy Rain. They outsold Heavy Rain their launch month by 20%. So that's a big, big jump. So interestingly enough, because of the success of the game, David Cage has not ruled out the possibility of doing a sequel.
Ooh, that would be interesting.
Right? Which is something that not only have they never done in the past, he outright refused to do one for Heavy Rain, despite everybody under the sun asking him for that.
Right, yeah.
So I think it would be easier to do a sequel to this one than it would be to Heavy Rain, whether or not it was like a direct sequel or not.
I guess the only challenging point at that is to choose your starting point for a sequel, because there's 20 different endings or something like that.
There are not that many of them. I mean, there's a couple of main endings and variations in little ways.
Oh, okay.
It's not like Heavy Rain where there was like 17 goddamn endings.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah.
14 of them didn't matter. But yeah, I mean, there are definitely variations on the same theme, but it's basically the androids rebelled and were destroyed, or the androids rebelled and were accepted, or the androids killed a bunch of people and fuck everyone. So,
and everything died.
right. So there's a bunch of different flavors of that to give it texture, but they could just do like Darkseid or like a Legacy of Kain, right? Just pick one as canon and go with that and set it like 5 years in the
whatever
future
works best for the carrying on. Because I mean, if it was the androids raised up and killed everyone, it's like, well, that wouldn't make a very good sequel at that point.
And Commander Santa says at this point, Sony should just purchase Quantic Dream, and I absolutely think that they've been thinking about it, but I don't think David Cage is open to that. Like he loves working with Sony specifically because they fund his craziness. He's like Kojima but French.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say maybe a little bit less talented, but he's a storyteller, not so much a game designer. Kojima is a little bit of both.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
He at least has a concept of what makes a fun game and how to play it and stuff, whereas, Cage is just like, hey, this would be a really cool thing. You guys make it work.
Well, no, like mechanically the game's like, it's basically a more advanced kind of Telltale game, but this one actually does have some, it felt a lot more like in places you were actually playing a game. Like there are sequences where you as Connor are running after an android and you're physically like maneuvering around stuff, and you get your QTEs, but it's like attached to the environment. So you're like actively jumping over stuff or dodging things.
Yeah.
It felt less like, oh, stop what you're doing to do a QTE.
Right.
It just kind of blended it all in. So it was very well done that way.
I even learned that from Beyond Two Souls, because as I'm playing that one, they have it's a very cinematic thing. She's like running through stuff, but it's that thing where you have to hit the joystick in the right direction, or she ends up getting like knocked in the head or tripping or whatever.
And that changes the plot, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So they're talking about that. Nothing in stone, but he says they're open to it. He reiterated, though, he doesn't want to work on the sequel just to make easy money. So good on him.
I mean, with the amount of time and effort they put into it, it's not about easy money at that point. They do it because it's an art. Considering,
like, if you saw the script for Detroit, it was like however many 100 pages. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we know the Switch has been hacked.
Yep.
But apparently Nintendo's not out of the running yet, because they have apparently some pretty sophisticated anti-piracy systems.
Well, not just that. It's, again, you keep trying to sell them short and saying, oh, it's hacked, fuck them, they're done, they're out, no one's going to buy it anymore. It's like, well, no, the thing is, it's Nintendo.
Historically, a hack this early in a console's life cycle, particularly a handheld console, has been the death knell.
The Switch isn't a handheld, though.
It is absolutely a fucking... I don't care what you say about the hybrid.
The DS is a handheld.
It's a fucking handheld. Anyway, long story short, they have a interesting anti-piracy system that actually pirates have been complimenting Nintendo on.
Thanks for being a dick, Nintendo.
Well, the people who hack these things, they're not your average pirate that are just, they're the guys who like fail overflow, right? They hack it to see if it can be done, and then, they put it out there, and then it gets used for piracy accidentally, whatever. But long story short, apparently the Switch, unlike the 3DS, there was their big problem where if you had the game card, they could use a stripped header from another game, and that was how they enabled piracy. The Switch can apparently detect if the header of the cartridge does not match the game card that's in it.
Oh, okay.
So they can't do the same sort of like the R4, R5 style of piracy. So that solves that. Apparently, any kind of online gameplay, It uploads a certificate from the game itself, and it validates if that certificate is actually a real or a legitimate certificate. There's actually like an encrypted certificate that is sent out that has information on it that ties to a specific console and a specific user. And if that doesn't match, it instantly bans that user's account and that console.
Yeah.
So even just going online, not even playing a game online, the second you have online access, it checks that, uploads that certificate, validates it, and fucks you. So unless you're going to play entirely offline.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some interesting precautions in place.
Well, I mean, and again, that's the way to do it. I mean, if they can get around piracy for part of it,
Right.
then that at least helps to quell it. So, I mean, it's kind of like you look at piracy on PC. Steam, like everyone has like a giant Steam library now, and typically they make sales, like really good sales and stuff to get people to stop piracy, basically. Because as soon as you start kind of doing all that stuff, especially with newer games having a lot of online content in them and everything, if you try to do anything through Steam, through pirated stuff, you're like, it'll fuck you over, basically.
There are ways around that, and that's why we get still anti-piracy measures like Denuvo, which screws people.
Yes, unfortunately.
But, it protects the game console, like the game manufacturers, for a couple of weeks till they get their first month's sales and keep their investors happy, and then hackers will inevitably hack it, and it'll get pirated. It's just basically to stave off that. Not that kind of stave off that initial sales hit they're going to take. So that's interesting. So anyway, so the Switch, not entirely undefended. They'll probably work around it, but for the time being, hopefully they can get the momentum up and get past that.
They have plenty of momentum right now.
In the meantime, hackers still have other ways of fucking with people. So
that's what they do. They fuck with people.
Super Mario Odyssey's balloon mode.
I don't even know what that is.
Balloon world mode.
Okay.
Your Switch profile icon is visible to other players.
Okay.
So when you're playing, they can see your icon. Hackers have found a way to swap your Switch icon.
Oh no, I know where this is going.
With a custom image.
Of course.
And
so there's penises everywhere.
I mean, Rule 34, right? So, like, and this is, of course, like an E for everyone title.
Yep.
Kids are seeing dicks and vaginas and boobs. So, parents are warned, maybe stay off of Balloon World for a while in Super Mario Odyssey. At least till they lock that shit down. So,
it's like, dude, if you're going to hack your Nintendo Switch and play some games on it, cool. That's what you want to do. Fucking do that. Don't put dicks and tits in a kid's game. Just that's not cool.
I mean, come on. That was like the big thing with like that chat mode where you leave the pictures and shit. What the hell was that?
Oh yeah, not Picto something, but
no.
I know you could like draw like a really sketchy 16-bit like black and white picture or something like that,
and then leave it for someone. It was like the dick version of the note in Dark Souls. Anyway, all right. So speaking of shitty code. Bethesda Softworks, they have filed a lawsuit against Warner Brothers and Behavior Interactive, claiming that the Westworld mobile game is actually using code from the mobile game Fallout Shelter.
Oh, like that closely related.
Using the code.
I thought they were just suing them because it's like, this is clearly the same game.
you can't copyright an idea, right? That's why you can have, like, I don't know why PUBG is suing Fortnite, like the UI thing, sure, but
that one was interesting. We can talk about that one a bit after, if you want to.
Well, but anyway, you can't copyright an idea. You can copyright specific looks and trade dress, but an idea, no. They're saying they actually took code from Fallout Shelter and have used it for Westworld. So here's the thing. Behavior was actually the guys in 2014 they contracted to make Fallout Shelter.
Okay.
And then they went on to make Westworld. So it's got similar look gameplay mechanics. That's not really, incriminating. But here's the thing. The game actually has some of the bugs that were in an early build of Fallout Shelter.
Really?
It still has them, and that's how they knew, because it was the same bugs. So they've asked to have the courts to have Westworld pulled from the marketplace and Google Play, to be awarded damages for willful copyright infringement, a percentage of the profits, and punitive damages as awarded by the court. So they are going hardcore.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
And that's fairly strong. I mean, if they can prove that the same code is in there,
Right.
then
Plus,
even if it was that third-party company that built it or whatever,
they're still liable. They published it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because basically another company says, "Oh, we like their game, make one like it." You can't just use the same fucking code. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, Warner Brothers can turn around and sue behavior, but they'll probably have no money left and be insolvent after this.
Yeah,
anyway.
Exactly.
But, hopefully they have insurance or some kind of shit.
Maybe I'm suing PUBG and Fortnite for ruining the entire gaming industry. I'll also throw EA in there along with it.
Yeah. And Commander Santa says that's finally brilliant on Nintendo's part. It absolutely is. If only they could get their fucking unified account system hacked, So
that would be nice.
That would be nice.
They're definitely missing some of that modern, just modern content like that.
We still need to lick a Switch card.
Oh, that's right.
I just have to know.
We do have some over there, don't we? Yeah.
Yes. Just make sure that not the ones from Electronics Boutique.
Yes. Yeah. No. Fresh games only.
No licking pre-used games, pre-licked games. Disgusting. All right. So I mean, I've played the Westworld. I've played Fallout Shelter and the Westworld mobile game, and I played probably a fair amount more of that than anything. It is so much more microtransaction heavy than Fallout Shelter. Yeah. So they're probably making money like hand over fist, not just the popularity of Westworld, but mobile gaming, blah,
That's
blah.
probably why they attacked it so hard, too.
Right.
If it wasn't making any money, they probably would have been like, it'll be dead in a month, and who cares?
I think if someone's using your code that you paid a company to make that code, they turn around and use it for another game, you fucking sue them. Because Jesus Christ. So, yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I think that's going to get settled with a big ticket lawsuit. So, speaking of bad coding, Telltale.
Yes. Okay. I was wondering if we were going to talk about this or not.
Yeah. I've got some interesting stuff about this that I didn't hear about. So, Telltale's game engine, which is the Telltale tool.
Of course.
Right. Telltale tool has been around like 20 goddamn years.
Since
I don't even know.
dinosaurs, I think.
Like the PS3 are like Sam and Max.
They started with Sam and Max. That was their first title.
Yeah. So anyway, they are ditching it finally because of the performance issues, all the stuttering, the hitching, the poor FPS, getting rid of it.
It just ultimately doesn't look good anymore. Like it's aged terribly.
It's okay. It looked fine for like Tales from the Borderlands, but I mean it's still hitched in places.
But we're just hitching aside.
Yeah.
Anyway, they can make much better looking.
Oh, definitely.
They have their own style of how they make humans look or how they animate and stuff like that. But I'm just talking about particles and physics and lighting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like all that kind of stuff is just so devoid from their engine.
And Commander Santa says, can we talk about Westworld Season 2's finale? Because, fuck, I really hope the guys talk about that tomorrow, because Jesus Christ, do I want to speculate about some shit.
I haven't even seen Season 2 yet, so I'm not going to see that.
We'll pick it up then, but yeah, it did some things. Some things were done.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad when shows do things.
I do not know what Season 3 is going to look like now, so...
Well, I did see an article today saying it's going to be a whole new world.
It would have to be.
Yeah.
So anyway, they're ditching the Telltale tool. They're actually going to just switch over to plain old Unity.
Might as well.
It makes sense, right?
Yep.
Like it's being supported continuously. It's always being updated. It's compatible with fucking everything.
It's kind of like just switching to Photoshop. Like everyone fucking uses it.
Right.
It works. It's the standard. Just fucking use it. Just go.
So apparently the first game that's going to make use of the new Unity engine for Telltale is going to be the Stranger Things game.
Okay.
So that'll be the first one. But there's some interesting other pieces of information in that Variety article. Apparently there was a recent leadership change. Telltale had to cut costs. They let go of 90 employees, which is almost a quarter of their staff.
Okay.
The Wolf Among Us 2 was almost canceled as a result of that cost takeout. So
and they realized, oh shit, we make games. That's where our money comes from.
The rumor was it might have had some production issues as well, but it has been delayed into 2019, either as a result of almost being cut or production issues or both. But it's not coming out this year anymore. And do you remember we talked about the other Netflix projects they might have?
Yes.
It was completely not what I was expecting.
Okay.
And it's better. They have a deal with Netflix. And it is a deal to get Telltale games to stream over Netflix.
Okay.
So that the Minecraft story mode that's going to be on Netflix,
Right.
it's going to be not a show about the game. It's going to be the game.
Okay.
You just play if you have a Netflix account with your remote control.
Yeah, because they're simplistic enough that
Right.
you could play with a TV remote, basically.
Right. They'll probably have to fix the UI a bit, but yeah, like your modern remote control directions and
Like if they have such a big kind of signed-on deal with them and everything, I could easily see them making like almost like kind of a generic, not a generic UI, but like having like an in-house UI that
Yeah.
they slap on all their games, so that no matter what Telltale game you're playing on Netflix, it's always going to feel the same. It's just
Sure.
going to be a different experience, visually and
they're
whatnot.
largely more or less the same now with
Yeah.
a few variations. So it should be easy enough to adapt, but they're apparently bringing a few of their games over to Netflix.
And it makes sense because again,
yeah.
they're simplistic enough that you could easily do that.
Yeah,
So,
and it's like good for that type of environment. Like a guy who sits on his couch and binge watches Luke Cage for 9 hours.
yeah. Not naming any names.
Season 2 was way better than the first.
Oh, James Breen just joined us. He
Hey,
wants a
James
recap
Breen.
of the entire show up till now. Just flip
Destiny
back through your notes.
sucks.
Yeah.
Go
Hashtag
Packers.
Destiny sucks.
Yep.
Atari blew it.
Yeah.
I played Beyond Two Souls.
Yeah, Destiny sucks, Ubisoft sucks, EA sucks, games as a service suck.
And Maim Kill Destroy wants to sue everyone.
Go Packers. All right, so they're also apparently looking into doing another traditional version, like another traditional game for Black Mirror.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what that's going to look like.
I am so ready for that because
Right?
anything more Black Mirror, I'm down.
I guess it could be interesting if it was like kind of like what they did with Tales from the Borderlands, like 4 individual ones that all link up at the end somehow. Could be
It
neat.
doesn't even need to do that. I just like Black Mirror is by far one of the best things I've
Yeah.
seen on Netflix. I'll take separate stories. Like I don't care. I'm
The
good
only
either way.
the only reason I would say that is because you've never seen a Telltale game that did not have like an overall. Like, why would you buy 5 parts? You could buy individual ones instead of a season pass. Then I would like there to be some kind of connective tissue.
Meh, it's Black Mirror. I would buy all of them.
That's true.
Because I want to see I want to consume everything Black Mirror.
It's just gonna be 5 episodes of a guy fucking a pig.
Well, there's your connective tissue right there, folks.
Yeah, man, am I glad that was not the first Black Mirror episode I saw? Because Jesus Christ, that would not have set the tone properly for the series. Okay, we have some official Spider-Man spoilers.
Official Spider-Man spoilers.
Yes.
Oh, right. Yes.
If
okay.
you pre-booked the collector's edition of the game for the Spider-Man for the PS4,
Yeah.
be careful how you open it, because there is a action figure inside that apparently is a spoiler. There is, they say some significant characters revealed in the game towards the end of the game. They don't want to reveal the identity or the role of the character until the player reaches that part of the game.
Is it Kite Man? Because that would be hilarious.
Isn't that a DC thing?
I honestly don't know. I just know he's
yeah.
like one of the worst like supervillains of all time. It's like the worst design ones. I have no idea if he's DC or not.
I remember they were talking about that where they brought Kite Man in and actually made him cool in one.
Oh, really?
one issue, yeah. It's a fucking Kite Man. Anyway,
If it's the $199 one, that would make most sense because that's
Probably.
typically where you get a statue or
Yeah.
a prop or an action figure or something
so
like
be
that.
very, very careful how you open that if you are at all sensitive.
It sounds
to
like the type of
spoilers.
thing that portion, that action figure, should be in its own box. That should be
I
have
think
like
it is.
be black with like a question mark on it
Well,
or something like that.
It's supposed to have a warning on it,
Okay.
but you might just, oh, I'm not paying
like,
attention. I'm looking
just
at-
shred the whole thing
It's like,
open
oh my God, it's Aunt May,
with her ugly, ugly face like that one action figure.
Aunt Martha.
That infamous action figure.
Oh my God. So it possibly related. So if you are sensitive to spoilers, it's a very, very minor one, but it might or might not be the related thing. The voice actor, Chris J. Alex, who is voicing the Rhino for the new Spider-Man game, he accidentally revealed another villain that would be in the game during an interview he's giving about Call of Duty Black Ops 4.
Oh, okay.
Or COD Blops 4, as we call it here at Digital Fiasco. So he mentioned...
Martha? No.
it's
This
not
is Marvel, not DC.
All right. So if anyone's sensitive, cover your ears.
Yep.
He talked about fighting Doc Ock.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's not really a real surprise.
Yeah.
How do you have the Sinister Six without Dr. Octopus?
Well, it was going in that direction,
Right.
but then like Mr. Negative showed up, and I'm like, oh, they're missing one or two more people there. So
Fucking Mysterio.
yeah,
My favorite. Fucking Fishbowl. Classic Fishbowl. So anyway, some other details from the Twitter feed of Insomniac Games creative director Brian Inethar. He talked about some improvements they've been implemented with feedback from E3. So they're already making improvements from just this past E3.
Okay.
And one of the more common ones they heard, while you're swinging around the city, they've turned off a lot of your UI elements so you can just experience the flow.
right, yeah.
So your health bar, gadget, suit, power HUDs, all of that disappears while you're just traversing the city.
Yeah, and we've seen that in some games before too, where you're running around, and if there's not a lot going on, your UI actually just fades away, and then as soon as you enter combat, it'll pop back up again. I think that's just a natural way of going about it.
Yeah. That's not very spoilery. How do you make a Spider-Man game with no Doc Ock? You make a not a very good Spider-Man game.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what it comes down to. So,
I forget.
spoiler, not spoiler.
Yeah. Did Shattered Dimensions have a Dr. Octopus level?
I don't think it did, but it had a lot of other crazy shit going for it.
Yeah,
So, because you played 4 different Spider-Men in that
It was
one.
pretty awesome.
Yeah. Probably the best thing I've played since Spider-Man 2.
I know that it distinctly had an awesome Deadpool level.
Oh, yes.
Chock full of Nolan North as Deadpool. All right. So Red Shell. We talked in May back about Elder Scrolls Online accidentally including an analytics program called Red Shell as part of a patch, one that they were talking about possibly implementing but did not want to roll out.
Right.
So, the description of the spyware, it's a means for video game makers to uncover where their players come from through reliable attribution.
And what kind of porn they watch after they're done gaming. I'm going to get more water.
Okay. It matches whether players with Red Shell installed on their games visited a markets campaign, whether Facebook or Twitter, YouTube, a web page, or others. Red Shell has to follow what users are doing outside of the game to do this, but the company said it does not collect any player's personal information, only collects information about their browsers and devices, again, for purposes of attribution.
Need water?
No, I'm good. Okay. No data is sold to a third party. So that's the rundown of Red Shell, and we both thought, kind of scummy.
They make it sound like the worst thing that as a gamer we're worried about is that they're going to sell our information. Granted, that is shitty.
That actually is probably the worst thing, but I still don't want them passing any information along.
Like, yeah, don't pass along any information. And guess what? After I'm done gaming, maybe don't fucking spy on us for anything. It doesn't matter what the fuck I'm doing. If I go on Facebook, or if I'm like on fucking Twitter, or if I'm like talking to my friends, or I'm like researching whatever, like they have no fucking business looking at any of that, ever.
Yeah.
I don't care how many statistics they want for their goddamn game.
The Noir suit is actually excellent.
Oh, I love the Noir suit. That's probably
awesome.
my favorite Spider-Man outside of like the classic.
Yeah. So, the Red Shell, the way they're framing it logs a gamer's fingerprint to determine the success of an ad campaign and help developers and distributors better allocate budget to those marketing ideas that work. So anyway, long story short, if you thought that was it,
It's disgusting. That's what it is.
Their users on Reddit have uncovered 50 games that currently, or maybe not currently, at the time they discovered it, 50 games that had Red Shell embedded in it. They've been updating the list as more and more are discovered. And as complaints have rolled in and people have woken up to this, a lot of these developers are actively committing to remove it from the game or already have. So I'm going to go through this fucking list because it is not just random games. Some of these are big fucking games.
So I'm just hoping that like, oh, don't worry. Oh, we didn't actually turn it on, or we didn't mean to have it in there. We'll get rid of it.
Oh, no.
And then we'll replace it with Blue Shell, or like like just some scummy underhanded thing like that. Like I will just call it something else and just change some code, and they won't even know it's there.
So this is the list. First of all, I'll give you the list of the ones that have already removed it. So chances are, I guarantee, if I'm going to go through this list, you've probably at least played one of these.
Oh, probably,
yeah. Elder Scrolls Online, of course, that came out. Conan Exiles.
'Kay.
Something called Ylands or Ylands. I don't know what that is. Holy Potatoes, We're in Space.
I've heard of it. I have not played it.
Warhammer Vermintide 2,
'Kay.
My Time at Portia, Dead by Daylight, Magic the Gathering Arena, Escapist to Omen Site, Vaporum, Tales from Candlekeep, Tomb of Annihilation, Yoku's Island Express, Clone Drone in the Danger Zone. I don't know what that is, but I kind of want to play it. The Wild 8, Desolate, Trailmakers, Raging Justice, Dungeon Rushers, Indigo, Indigo.
Oh, I get it.
Indigo.
Like indie. Go.
Indie.
Fuck yourself.
Go. Go, Indie. Into the tomb. Kerbal Space Program.
Oh.
Yep.
Thought I was going to make it through that whole list.
Nope.
But
Still have it. Pledge to remove it. Quake Champions. Nostale. Soulworker. Rockshot. Every Total War game out there. Air Memories of Old. Secret World Legends. Hunt Showdown. Big fucking game.
Yep.
Battle Right. And Ballistic Overkill. Games still using Red Shell.
oh god.
with no intent to remove it or has not made any kind of intention known.
Okay.
Civilization 6.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Guardians of Ember, The Onion Knights, Hero and Anthem 0, Warhammer 40k Eternal Crusade. Page 2. Krosmaga, Eternal Card Game, Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, Astro Boy Edge of Time, Cabal's Card Blitz, City Battle, Doodle God Blitz, Doodle God Genesis Secrets, Labyrinth, My Free Farm 2, not so free, Shadowverse, SOS, and SOS Classic, if you didn't like the new and updated version of SOS, Stoney's War Robots, Survived by, Injustice 2, Warriors Rise to Glory, League of Pirates, Archangel Hellfire, and Skyworld. That's all that they have found in like a couple of weeks.
I was going to say, and they will probably find many, many more.
Yeah, I'm sure at this point developers have woken up. They're pulling.
I've
out
only
other
played
games.
one of those games. So
Nailed on ESO, Hunt Showdown, Total War. Like, I mean, you got to think. Oh, Clone Zone and the Danger Zone is a streamer-friendly game.
it's a shmup.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's kind of like no, like
I'm gonna look it up.
I think it's kind of like what's that? The fucking Enter the Gungeon. I think it's that type of game.
Okay, that could
I
be
think
good.
that's what it is, anyways.
I'll look it up.
I might be thinking of a different one. There's a lot of those ones.
Yeah. So a lot of goddamn developers looking to save marketing money by abusing our rights and freedoms.
It's just I want to see things from the other side. I want to go to a company
Yep.
and be like, hey, you guys use fucking Red Shell. What do you get out of it? Show us like how this marketing tactic works. Why does it save you so much fucking money? Why is this accurate? Why does it work for you? I want to know from their end of things why it works and how much money they're actually saving on it. Because granted, again, I can guarantee like 99% of them are not doing anything terrible with it. They are just doing marketing shit with it. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to, or that they already haven't done something really, really shitty with it.
I mean, I don't know with GDPR how they can possibly say that this information they've collected is safe, that it can't be compromised, that it can't be leaked
I mean,
out.
we see stuff hacked and leaked
Right.
all the fucking time. Credit card numbers, addresses, license numbers,
Yeah.
like all this crazy shit.
And while some of
these
these
tiny
games-
like indie game companies, like
Right.
half those people are indie game companies.
Not all of them were Civilization 6. They're
Yeah,
not for
exactly.
Axis.
They don't have the security that
Right.
a large AAA dev has.
I strongly doubt that Holy Potatoes
Yeah.
We're in Space has a super robust anti-intrusion system on their servers.
Why is Holy Potatoes even using it? Like I think they have a very specific marketing tactic. It was the name.
I actually have that game.
Yeah, there you go.
Apparently, there is a Holy Potatoes series. There's multiple games.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know much about it. So yeah. How is that legal? Because you fucking went through the terms and conditions and
Yep.
hit accept.
And that's ultimately what it is. It's all in the name of marketing, though. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's going to save them money, and it's going to be more targeted towards the gaming audience, which is, I don't know. Like I said at the top, it's disgusting. That's exactly what it is. This pries way too deep into what they should be able to get their hands on.
So always read your terms and conditions.
But
That's
you
the takeaway.
can't.
I know.
They've already done that study. They said if you read all the terms and conditions that you actually agree to with your phone, your online stuff, like your games that you play, if
Right.
you did that, what was it? You would spend fucking like 70 years reading or something like that.
That's
like,
actually why one of the provisions of GDPR is that they have to clearly indicate what privacies that they need, like what information they're gathering for what they're going to use it. They're not going to share it with anyone. They can't share it with anyone. And they have to do it in like a readable format. They can't bury it in like page 50 of a 100-page
yeah, exactly.
thing. Like right up front say, this is what we're getting. You know, this is what we're going to use it for, and they literally can't use it for anything beyond like what they need it for.
The shitty part though is that they never give you an option. You know what your option is? No, you don't get to play the game if you don't agree with it. I think that's absolute horseshit.
It is kind of, because you can't return it generally if you've opened it.
It's like I paid you $80 to play this game, and then you're going to tell me I can't play it because you want to steal my fucking information? Fuck off. Like, that's not how this works.
Well, that's exactly why you get people like this. They complain and they get it removed. But, I mean, usually after it's already been happening, you know?
Yeah.
All right, some quick hits. So Gears of War is going to get a bit of a rebranding. The new Gears game is actually just going to be listed on the box.
Gears 5.
Gears 5.
Yeah, they had that all over E3, so I was like, I guess that's what it's called now.
It is. Like, it's been confirmed by Rod Ferguson, the studio head of the Coalition, that is what it's going to be branded as on the box.
Do you think it has to do with God of War?
I absolutely do.
Okay.
Because it's for the longest time, right?
It was always GOW, so yeah.
And now that God of War is back, and I mean, they were here first, technically speaking.
Yeah.
So I think it's just easier. But, you know, Gears 5, unambiguous.
A lot of people called it that anyways.
Yeah,
like, they called it Gears 3, Gears whatever.
Right.
So.
You don't just call God.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a thing.
That war guy.
Going
Kratos
back...
Simulator.
Boy Dad Simulator.
Angry Dad Simulator.
Angry Dad. So the latest Famitsu also had a large 4-page feature on Devil May Cry 5.
Ooh.
So it revealed some details. The game is approximately 75% complete, so it's almost done. The villain is supposed to be stronger than every other enemy that the Devil Hunters have ever fought, and it's supposed to be the last game in the main series.
Okay.
So we're going to get more info later this summer. GameStop is in talks to sell.
Oh, yes. I saw this earlier in the week. Actually, Mamekill sent me the thing for it.
I'd like to say that I'm disappointed, but I'm not. Apparently, they are down. Their stock is down 32% in the last 12 months. They are down. They used to be, their market capitalization in 2007 was $9.4 billion. Now it's $1.4 billion. So,
sorry, not sorry, GameStop. You can fuck right off.
Digital fucked them hard.
Yeah.
I mean, like when half of your revenue is digital now and you can't resell digital.
And you have gamers like me. 90% of my catalog is digital now. I literally own like 2 physical games.
And also fuck GameStop. Ninja Theory has announced that Hellblade has sold over 1 million copies across PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And for a niche title like that, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Good for them. It's because it's less of a game and more of a piece of art and an experience. So it's really nice to see something unique like that actually take off and be able to sell that many that many copies.
Before we move on, Mamekill Destroy said there should be an opt-out. I mean,
that's exactly what I was talking about. Like, you should have an option. If you pay to play, if it's free to play, that's completely different.
Yeah,
then you are signing into their bullshit. If I went to a store or did it digitally and I paid $80 to play a game and all of a sudden they want my information, I should physically be able to opt out of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing. Like, nowadays, you're buying a license to play a game. You're not buying the game itself.
Which I still think is horseshit, but...
It's legal chicanery is what it is, but legally, it's supposed to stop you from being able to resell a game because you're not supposed to be able to transfer those licenses, but...
Hey,
anyway.
GameStop.
Anyway.
They got a lot of licenses.
Yeah, theoretically. So, Naughty Dog, on the 5th anniversary of The Last of Us' release, they announced that as of April this year, across PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, they've sold 17 million copies of The Last of Us.
Wow.
Which is huge for a Sony exclusive like that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Such a great fucking game. I'd
like to see some numbers of PS3 versus PS4. To see if we got that many people.
I bet you.
We had a lot of people switch from Xbox to PlayStation, so I'm wondering if they picked it up on PS4 to experience it because they didn't get it on a PS3, or we have people like you that played it on PS3 and then got it on PS4, whereas my experience was on the PS3.
I bet you most people bought it on the PS4 because it was like literally 2013 it came out, and then the PS4 came out like that same year.
Right, and then they had like a remaster of it or whatever.
Yeah, the year after had the remaster, and I bought it again. So I'm sure that there were a lot of people who double dipped like I did.
Yeah. There you go.
See,
Commander Santa did it too.
I mean, absolutely. To get it in 60 frames per second, and every time I hear that fucking theme, Gustavo Ayala, like, shivers up the spine. The Quiet Man, that was Square Enix's game.
Yes.
Apparently, it's gonna be digital only.
Really?
Yep.
And like, is it an indie title? Like, have they said anything
it's
about
Square Enix? But I mean, who knows? I don't know if it's gonna be them or...
Square Enix had that whole kind of indie initiative where they took in some people, gave it some dev money, and kind of sent it out the door. So I'm wondering if that's maybe why it's a digital only.
Maybe, but for whatever reason, it is digital only. I don't understand why that would be the only thing we know about this game.
Yeah, and JT said she was actually reading information about it too. Is that it comes out? Yeah, it comes out in a few months. So it's almost ready.
Yeah. And Main Kill Destroy says he was an Xbox turnover, so he didn't play it until it remastered.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of those, like God of War 3, why that came out for PS4. A lot of people had PS2s, they went to the Xbox, and then they never got to play God of War 3 or Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah.
There's one that I would love a remaster of.
I think we all would.
That is the one caveat. If Konami released that for PS4, I would give Konami money.
Well, there you go.
That's the only time.
Everyone has a price. And there it is.
Or a Snatcher remaster.
Well, I mean,
they'd have me over a barrel then. Fucking Konami. Anyway.
You'd buy a Snatcher from fucking homeless guy back if...
Already have. Anyway. So, we're talking about the evolution of games and whatnot, and the mechanics would be better. We're talking about Quantic Dream.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. Resident Evil, when it was remastered, they still had the fixed camera tank controls.
Right, yeah.
Resident Evil 2 is going to be over the shoulder.
Right, and that's what I was hoping, because I'd seen some of the cinematics they were doing. I was like, that looks fully 3D, so I'm kind of excited by that, because when I originally played that, the rendered backgrounds looked fine at that point. They're, seizure-inducing now. But
like sand in the eyes.
Yeah, like they're terrible, but I'm... Like, when I saw that movie and stuff, I was like, I recognize all of this just because I remember those pictures so well. And they obviously modeled them, like, directly after those, like, rendered screenshots and everything, because it looks exactly the way I remember it. So I'm glad that they're going that way because, again, it's just playing up to a more modern gaming style. It's just going to make more sense to play it in that way.
Right. Thank fuck. I tried to play the Resident Evil remaster. I couldn't get past those early 90s controls.
Yeah, again, it's
main kill.
Like, unless you were used to it, basically. Because I played the remaster. It was good, and it was... Like, I enjoyed it, and it was what it was. Like, they did a great job remastering it. But again... It felt very much like the first game because of those pre-rendered, like the fixed camera and stuff like that. So I'm really glad that 2 is going with the proper third person.
Forza Horizon 4 has a brand new feature called Horizon Stories that are described as cool little bite-sized piece of narrative gameplay that will center around certain activities involved in you owning businesses, interacting with certain people, etc., etc. One of them is a essentially direct lift from Crazy Taxi.
Oh, really?
Yes. So that I am going to be interested to see.
That's very cool. I like that.
Might be a good reason for me to play Forza Horizon. Back to Famitsu. We're talking about Déraciné, or Déraciné.
Oh, here's your French title that you were talking about.
Oh, dis donc, je m'appelle. So From Software's president, Hidetaka Miyazaki, continued to hint that they're also working on a current-gen Armored Core game.
Okay.
So they're talking about this game that they supposedly had 3 games in the pipeline. He said this one wasn't one of them. It's for PlayStation VR. And he said he continues to talk about games where like combat and damage and whatnot. There was a Japanese meme involved.
Dancing around it.
It doesn't.
I'm not saying it's giant mechs, but it's giant mechs.
So when he hinted at it using a Japanese meme that does not translate well into English.
Okay.
And when the interviewer directly asked him, "Is this a new Armored Core game?" He did not comment. He did not deny it.
Okay.
But he did not comment.
All right.
So that's exactly what it is. Right?
There we go. And Commander Santa's very excited too.
Oh, I'm super goddamn excited. And apparently there was a job posting on a Japanese like employment site that listed the guy who was giving the interviews as the director of Armored Core 5 and Armored Core Verdict.
All right.
And he's working on a game that was unlisted.
Right.
So
It's gonna be Armored Core, and I'm so fucking excited. It has been far too long since our last Armored Core game.
I don't give a shit, but if Armored Core beats Ace Combat 7 to my goddamn PlayStation, why, Namco? fuck.
What if they just like blended the two of them together and we had Ace Core and we had transforming jets
that you like customized?
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Yep.
Steal that idea.
So fucking on board with that.
God. All right. Next Mario Party for Switch.
Yes.
It's going to have online multiplayer.
About fucking time.
And I mean, yes, that's great for the convenience.
Yep.
But the best part about multiplayer mode is listening to the suffering of your enemies.
I know. But hopefully they'll have good integrated chat too, so you can hear the suffering of your enemies and stuff.
Yeah, but it's witnessing them breaking down in impotent rage after you fuck them over.
One of the best parts about the newest Mario Party game, though, is they got rid of the fucking car or the train or whatever. The thing you traveled on together, that bullshit that everyone fucking hated, they finally got rid of it. They went back to the classic style.
Yes, the Mario Party that we all love.
Jack, you are the only person on this planet that does not like Mario Party.
Well, you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. I will live. So, one last thing, fun fact about the Switch.
Yep.
Fortnite for the Nintendo Switch actually has voice chat natively.
I saw that, and my mind was blown. I'm like, how? I thought Nintendo said that this was like basically impossible, or they were gonna like police the whole thing, and that's why they had their stupid cell phone earpiece, whatever bullshit that they had for chat.
It literally, you just plug in a fucking thing to your headphone jack, voice chat natively on the Switch. What the fuck, Nintendo?
Like, did they just
no
give
virtual
up?
console, chat over an app? That's why I don't get Nintendo. For every brilliant idea, there's 6 that are like...
Oh, there we go. So apparently Maim Killed is not like Mario Party either.
Well, that, I don't want to be lumped
so
in
you
with
two,
that
you
Martian.
two can fucking brood in the corner, and we'll have a blast playing Mario Party and we'll punch each other on the couch.
All right. So now we're on to the big ticket.
All right. What do we got?
And it is still talking about Fortnite.
Oh, I think you're going to say loot boxes.
No, I'm going to get
still
through,
loot box.
I'm going to get through the whole episode without talking about them.
We technically hinted at them with
nothing.
Skull and Bones.
No, we didn't even talk about it with Skull and Bones. It was all like games as a service nonsense. Anyway, so we know that Sony's not big on crossplay, obviously. Microsoft was in the past. We've talked about that before.
Yep, been over 1,000 times.
Yeah, now they're in the we don't have anything to lose, so fuck Sony kind of phase with the Xbox One. So now Sony's gone a step further. There is a problem with current Fortnite accounts. If you have a Fortnite account on the PS4, you cannot use it to log in on any other console.
It's locked down. Yeah, it's locked on the PS4. And there have been many complaints about it because I've been on Reddit all week, and it's
so you can't.
It's a goddamn echo chamber.
Your progress, your skins unlocked, your purchases, none of that are shared. So it's not shared between the PS4 and your Xbox or your Switch. What they don't talk about is that it doesn't work the other way either. If you have a Switch account, you can't move to the PS4, but there's more PS4 owners, so that's where the noise is. Anyway, so the error message that actually comes up on the Fortnite screen actually says they lay the blame right at Sony's fucking door. It says this Fortnite account is associated with a platform which does not allow it to operate on the Switch. Neither the Fortnite website nor Epic customer service are able to change this. To play Fortnite on Switch, please create a new account. So it's like, fuck you, move on.
Mm-hmm.
That's not great. So Sony has been taking flack for this all week. And Xbox One and PC are crossplay, obviously, but they've allowed crossplay with the Switch because they're not a competitor.
Yeah.
They're just not. I think this is probably more an issue of Sony like locking down its network after the hack.
Yeah.
They're just being super restrictive, but players are saying it's anti-consumer. They're all pissed off. Greg Miller was all up in arms about it. Like, get your shit together, otherwise I'm gonna, go start playing it on the Xbox One, which I think is probably an empty threat. But still, a lot of people not super happy about it. What do you think about that, first of all?
I mean, I think it's kind of unfortunate because it's one thing to have like no crossplay for stuff like Minecraft or anything like that, but that's because that's like a game experience that you would have cross-platform. For Fortnite, I think it's a bit different. I think they need to try to open it up a little bit, whereas when you log in on your PS4, because it's Fortnite, you've built that character, you've built that, your like kind of like you've spent your time on that PS4. You've spent your time on
all of your hats.
Well, not just hats, but it's basically all your stats and everything like that. That would be like our own Commander Santa playing Destiny or whatever.
I've not played,
and you've put all those hours in. You have all those stats and everything like that, and then all of a sudden you go to a different system.
Okay.
And you want to log in and you want to carry over those stats. You want to get more kills in there. You want to put more hours in on there, depending on whichever system you want to. And it's the same fucking game.
Maim Kill Destroy has a point. Like Paragon was crossplay between PS4 and PC, and you still see PS4 versus and PC stuff. And in fact, you can play crossplay with Fortnite between PS4 and PC. You just can't use your PS4 account on the PC.
Yeah, exactly.
It's locked to the console.
And see, that's kind of
and
the weird
Rocket
part.
League is too. Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
and Rocket League is another one. But it's basically you want to carry forward that profile,
right?
And they're not allowing it. And it's they can say all night and day that it's either security or it's like they don't play nice together or whatever.
For your profile though, I can understand why you wouldn't, because it's like they're spending money on stuff on on the PSN, right? To buy all these, customizations and whatnot. That's where the microtransactions are. So Sony wants people to spend money on PSN, not do it on PC and then bring it to PSN. So I could see why. Like no other game have you had DLC that you could play on both consoles, unless it's Microsoft with like Windows, because they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can understand that. But just even if you were like stats or something, that should be able to be ported over. You just log in. You don't have to make a new one. Maybe the stuff you bought doesn't carry over. I don't know, but
well, yeah, because I mean, like, there's obviously PS4 has like locked unique items,
right?
Like certain costumes and hats
like
and all that kind of stuff.
Console?
Yeah, exactly. Because they're like, I don't think they're PS4 themed per se, but they're like black and blue, and they're like PS colors and stuff like that. And obviously those wouldn't carry over. That makes perfect sense. They have their own unique stuff and like that. But let people carry their profiles. Let people carry their stats around and stuff like that. I think that, or even that's fair. Like if you're buying, content on a Nintendo Switch, like you buy a costume on Nintendo Switch, maybe that doesn't carry over to your PlayStation one because you spent the money there.
Yeah.
And then vice versa and all that kind of stuff like that. But I just outright locking it and saying you don't get to carry this profile anywhere except this one place. I think that's kind of shitty on their part.
It's kind of weird. And I mean, not only that, but they've been quiet about it for a long time. When they finally did issue a statement, it's largely just a commercial for the PS4.
It's lackluster at best.
Fortnite's a huge hit with PS4 fans, 79 million PS4s, 80 million active users on PlayStation Network, huge community, blah, blah, blah. We also offer Fortnite crossplay support with PC, Mac, iOS, and Android devices, expanding the opportunity for Fortnite fans on PS4 to play with even more gamers on other platforms. They totally don't address the profile thing, and then they just literally say we have nothing further to add beyond this point. So it's like they acknowledge crossplay for anything not Microsoft or Switch.
Yeah. And that's about it.
That's about it.
And no, Jay Tanuki, it's not directly linked to the PSN account. It's literally you log into the game and then you log into who makes Fortnite again?
Epic.
It's Epic. You log into an Epic account.
It's like a Uplay kind of
like that. It's like a third-party kind of overlay thing that sits in the game. So that's why people are so angry about it. It's not that it's linked to a PSN account. It's just that this is a kind of a generic login profile that they just use for Fortnite on the PC or the PS4 or whatever, and they should just be able to log in anywhere, but their PlayStation's not allowing. And if you started playing on the PS4, your account is on there. Like you can't log into the PC or the Switch with that.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, I can kind of see both sides of it. It's just a stupid thing that is unique to Sony's. So that's what makes it a problem, really. If it was this way for everything, then there wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, like if you played on Switch, you're stuck on Switch. If you played on PC, you're stuck on PC, like that kind of thing. But no, the fact that they are allowing a lot of this kind of free flow between all the consoles, except for Sony, I think they need to step it up. Like, again, you don't have to open the floodgates or anything like that, but allow some breathing room here, finally.
I don't know. I think Sony is still feeling the pinch after years of that hack, since like no one has had a hack like that. I don't think they are willing to, like, they'll take the PR hit. They fucking sold 80 million PS4s. They, what's the worst that they can do? Not play their free-to-play game? Whatever. They've got like 8 million other games coming out this year. I mean, it's a just a optically bad situation.
Yeah.
So while they're on the topic of crossplay and they're dogpiling on, Microsoft has released this ad for Minecraft that has a joint Xbox and Nintendo Switch, and it's like the red and the green. And it's like survive together, right? It's got their logos in the corner. It's like, you know, people are saying, oh, they're ganging up on Sony. Like literally, Kotaku reported it. Nintendo and Microsoft are rubbing Sony's face in it. That's the headline they had on their article. I mean, yes, crossplay, that's a big deal. They're hitting them with it. But first of all, Minecraft is a Microsoft product that they're releasing on 2 consoles. It is a Microsoft ad. It's just Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Switch is not a competitor for the Xbox or the PS4. It's the system you buy in addition to your PS4.
Yeah, no, it's the Switch. We already talked about the Switch. Is that kid off in the corner eating paste and having fun by himself? Like that's what he do. So.
Looking at nudie pics and balloon worlds. So I mean, I get the arguments. I get that they're anti-consumer. People are upset, but at the same time, I think it is a shitty but valid strategy on the part of Sony to maintain market dominance.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just so not like about, you know, console domination anymore that I'm just like, I'm not saying like, oh, just blow it wide open, let all the fucking things do crossplay and shit like that. You know, pick and choose your battles. Like, look at your numbers and stuff like that. Allow some of that stuff to be crossplay, or at least have your fucking accounts have some freedom in between.
For Fortnite, though, it's like the biggest thing out there right now. So I mean, it could be that's a distinct strategy on their part.
Because I mean, it's one of those deals that even I've had to deal with, is that like technically I have Rocket League on PC on Steam, and I have it on PS4, but I only play it on Steam because that's where all my stats are, that's where all my fucking cars and cosmetics are and everything like that.
Sure.
If I log into PS4, it's a fresh game. Like, there is nothing in there.
Right.
So I have very little to draw me to that side of it. So
it's like Moon Hunters. All right. So you know what time it is.
Yep.
It's time to press select in the options menu.
Let's do it, because we got 8 minutes.
We're coming down to the wire.
That's fine. I mean, there's not going to be a lot to talk about.
No, it's perfect timing. Perfect timing. So this week, on a rotating bevy of options, we're going to talk about near misses and second chances. And this, for the people who have not seen it before, are games that were almost good and either, you know, didn't quite make it, or they need a sequel to really shake their shit out. So we'll let you go first, Dandr0id. What do you got?
Okay, so this is one that I was super excited to play when it first came out. Was really cool and unique, and I still agree that it has like this amazing kind of like ability in it, but overall the game was kind of lackluster compared to what it could have been, and that is basically the Scribblenauts series.
Okay. I'm only ever familiar with the first one. What were the other ones?
Well, they just had various flavors of them on. You had DS, you had 3DS. They had one on the Wii U, I believe.
Moonlighter is amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
So yeah, like they had various versions of it over time, like over all these consoles and everything like that. But overall, I mean, the core thing, if you've never played a Scribblenauts game, is that literally it's like you're this weird looking little kid and you have a notebook and you can write whatever you want in it to create that in the scene to help you solve level-based puzzles. So that whole concept is amazing. Like, I loved it since the first time I read it. I was like, that sounds spectacular. Now, the problem is I had my DS and I bought the game and I dove in, and about halfway through the game, I realized that I could solve like 99% of the puzzles by writing the same 3 things constantly. And basically either they're overpowered or they just break the puzzle and I just win. And I played some of the 3DS one. I never played the Wii U one. And there might have been another one out there somewhere. I don't know if they had one for the Wii or whatever. But it really felt like the same thing. Like, they improved the graphics a little bit. They obviously added to the dictionary of stuff that you could write in and everything like that. But ultimately, it always felt like there was a few OP pieces that, as long as you used them at the right time or knew what they were to write them in and just make them appear, or 10 of them appear or whatever, you could basically just beat the game. It was almost mindless at that point. So they had a really cool concept that was kind of broken in its overpoweredness.
and there were so many things you could summon. It was almost like trial and error to figure them out. And then once you found those few, it was like you'd never experimented anymore.
Well, and that was the problem, is that it was I think the game was too big to kind of handle itself, because what they did was
it's a DS game. Or
well, it was originally a DS game.
Yeah.
They made them bigger and better as they went along, but ultimately what it came down to was, sure, you could write in all these things like, wow, look at how many items are in this game and stuff. But the problem is I think that they took all those items and then they put them into categories of kind of what they did or didn't do, and then gave them those type of powers, and that was about it. So you could write in 10 different of the same animal, but they all did the same thing because they were all kind of the same size. They're all four-legged beasts of some kind. Like, they all just kind of walk around and do whatever.
Sure.
So it was kind of like they didn't really do anything special or specific a lot of the time. Or if you typed in gun or assault rifle or whatever, like, they all just shot a projectile. It wasn't bigger or smaller. It wasn't faster. It wasn't rapid fire. It wasn't like all these different variations of the thing. So it was ultimately, and Mega Cthulhu just kicked the shit out of everything, basically. If you had to defeat something, it was Cthulhu. But yeah, what it came down to was it was kind of just, it became kind of monotonous after a while, which was really unfortunate, because again, it's a really cool concept, and I figure if they went in and they did a deeper dive, and instead of having a million objects in the fucking game that you could write down, maybe dial it back to 500,000, but then have them actually do something a little more specific. It's not 500,000. I don't even know how many items in the game. It's probably like 1,000 or something like that.
But then how will I defeat the enemy that is only ever vulnerable to blancmange?
Is that more French? Stop it, Frenchie. No, but ultimately what it came down to is, you would pick a few things. You would ultimately win, because it was usually puzzle based, or you had to defeat a boss or something like that. So you just type fire-breathing dragon, and it would just come out and kick the shit out of it, or Cthulhu.
God, Einstein.
Like all that stuff. He shot lightning and killed everything or whatever.
Fire.
So it was really unfortunate, because it's such a cool concept, and it had limitless possibilities with puzzles and fights and everything like that, but they really just kind of gave it the old 1-2, and that was it. And it just kind of, it fell very short of what it could have been.
So
I
can see that.
Because what they needed to do was, I think they needed to have, some levels that were just free range. You could type in whatever you want, do whatever you want, that kind of thing. But when it comes to puzzle-based things, it's about reining it in a little. It's about giving you some expectations. So it's like, well, you have to cross this bridge, but the bridge is broken. So what are you going to do? You type this thing, that thing. So maybe they do it. You can only have 2 active items on the screen, or you can only have things that have 4 letters in them or something. Like, do something like that to make it more challenging. Because if you just type in Mega Cthulhu for everything and you win, there's no point in playing the game.
No.
So you had only played the DS version of it?
Yeah, that's right. The original one back in the day. And I had kind of the same thing. Like, either you just came up with the same thing over and over again, or the answer was so obscure that you were going through 15 things.
And then you would type in a bunch of shit and maybe just glitch your way through the puzzle. Like,
that happened a lot as well. Like be a barrier you have to get over or something. And
then you just type in a bunch of animals and you just jump on them and you jump over the barrier. It's like, I guess I won? Was I supposed to do it that way?
I'm pretty sure the solution to this puzzle was in a giant pile of lobsters.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though it worked, it's probably not the right solution.
I have to type that in the game. Lobster pile.
Lobster pile. That's at least 17 lobsters.
Yeah.
All right. So I could see that. It had some issues, but interesting core concept for the game. But
But I believe they're bringing out a brand new one for the Switch. So I'm really hoping that they fixed some of those issues and made it just make it work better. Use that concept better.
All right.
Okay. So what do you got? I see that you physically have it here.
Physically have it here. This is the Bureau.
Are we allowed to talk about this? A lot of this has been redacted.
I know. Largely redacted. The Bureau, the XCOM Declassified. This is the third-person shooter that they made of XCOM. Actually, technically speaking, the second third-person shooter they made of XCOM. This was fairly recently released for the PS3. And I say fairly recently. I mean, it is for the PS3.
Yeah.
But long story short, they went and they were making a 50s and 60s era XCOM, and they made it a third-person tactical game. And the game itself wasn't bad.
Bad.
Had some issues, but the plot of it and like the execution, the level design, the design of the bases itself, it was excellent. Like every aspect of it, I think this would have made a fantastic like video, like a game, like a not a game, but like
a game that's
movie.
A video game,
a video game, almost as if. But they actually had a number of live action intros for it, like sort of the prequel videos.
Oh, okay.
One of which had the dude who was in Lost and Lord of the Rings, whose name escapes me.
Okay.
He was the guy who was the rock star in Lost.
I didn't watch Lost.
I know.
Watched
I know.
Lost.
Everyone knows that guy. Guy who played Charlie on Lost. He was Mary. Anyway, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in it. So it was like fairly high quality production, and it was all about this. Anyway, so it takes place in the 60s. It's like XCOM before it was XCOM, and basically the entire United States collapses under this alien attack that was then forgotten about because of the nature of this mental ability that took over people's minds. They were all like sleepwalkers and stuff. It was horrific, actually.
Oh, okay.
The game itself, like, really plays its themes well. The gameplay, though, the third-person point of view, tactical gameplay, it was very much kind of like what was that game?
Like Valkyria Chronicles?
No, like that one for Republic Commando or Full Spectrum Warrior,
right?
Where you have like go to this spot, defend in this area, covering fire, that kind of stuff. And you had special abilities which were on cooldowns and stuff, and you had to pick up equipment and scavenge. So it had an XCOM element to it. You had research, you had et cetera, et cetera. But the aesthetic of it, like when you were in this base, it looks like all those newsreel photos you see of like Mission Control in the 60s.
Right.
Or an old military base you see in like the inside of I Dream of Jeannie where he's on the base and shit. It looks like something out of one of these old
giant gymnasium-sized computers with the reels on it.
And like the white labels on everything for all the locations. And, you know, it really felt like a real lived-in place. The stakes seemed very real. The gameplay itself was not up to par with like a Mass Effect, but it kind of positioned itself as that was the kind of person who would like the game.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not XCOM in the sense of like the overhead strategy.
Yeah, well, the classic XCOM we come to know, the tactical, grid movement and everything.
So either you liked XCOM and you bought this game anyway, but it wasn't your kind of game, so you didn't like it, or you liked that kind of game and this game didn't do it very well, so you didn't like it. I actually liked the game, even though it had like a lot of rough edges around the tactical combat. But the storyline, the gameplay, the visuals were enough to get me through it. I bought it again on Steam at an extremely reduced rate.
I was going to say probably, because it was not a big hit. It was not well received.
No, it was not, which is unfortunate because it was actually a very well designed. I wouldn't say like the art direction was amazing. The design of the game itself, it has a bit of Alpha Protocol syndrome. We're just going to say
the mechanics weren't all there, because again, this was a departure for them. They hadn't really done anything major like that before. It was always XCOM was XCOM.
Ironically enough, XCOM Enforcer also did terribly, so I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. So yes, that was 2K, the Bureau, XCOM Declassified.
Do all of them look like that, or is that like a special edition that has like the cover on it?
I don't honestly know. I think
because again, going with the whole kind of theme of everything, that is very cool. That the whole cover is like redacted and whatnot.
I think the day one edition was like this, and the later ones just came without the slip.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had gotten it on day one. I played it. It had some issues. I platinumed it. I enjoyed it. I got my money's worth. I don't regret it. But it wasn't. I'm not going to go back and play it again.
Right.
Like every year, like XCOM. Right. I'll play it again, maybe eventually on the PC, not on the fucking PlayStation. But yeah, it definitely wasn't XCOM. Anyway, that is our show for this week, folks. Thank you, all of you, for joining. DF Live taking the 16th, or is okay? So what? Next week is Canada Day.
I think we should just take a vacation.
We'll
it's Canada Day.
Figure it out. We'll figure it out. Maim Kill volunteers as tribute, so we're gonna murder him on stream instead.
For 2 hours?
I can make it last. Commander Santa can make an appearance too. So we have volunteers. We have alternate plans. We'll discuss it. We'll figure it out. We'll post something up to the Twitter, which can keep track of us, any sort of announcements, or to communicate back to us. You can reach us on Twitter at @digital_fiasco and let us know what you think, things you want to talk about. Say you really like to see Metal Gear Pachinko. I mean, who the heck knows? JS Marino will cameo in chat. Well, how is that new?
I was going to say,
every week.
That's a given.
Yeah. You can also check out our website at digitalfiasco.wtf and check out our stuff there, which hasn't changed in about 6 months. But we're going to have to
busy.
we have been, but we're going to start updating with our actual stuff as we archive it to YouTube. And now that we have some new people joining, we got to get on that and start posting it there too. But anyway, let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. It'd be great. You can also, down below in the description, check out our Discord link. Join our Discord. Be a Fiasconaut.
Yep.
Support us there too. All right. So, how you feel?
Like I said, I'm exhausted.
It's fucking Monday.
And I have to basically go to work after this.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right, folks.
So, thumbs up to that.
Indeed. So, from both of us here at Digital Fiasco for tonight, I'm Jack McBastard.
I'm Dandr0id.
Have a good night, everybody. If you want to stick around, we're going to find someone here in Winnipeg to pass the love along to. I don't know who, but we'll see who's online. Have a good night, everybody.
See ya.